2.
You don't say 2, asshole.
Welcome back to GiggleBoys. I'm your host, Brody Lowballer. And I'm Mike Eaton. I'm a rapper now, you guys.
Why did you, why Brody Lowballer?
So, I've always wanted to be a rapper. I think everyone does. But I had a friend of mine, a black guy named Maurice, Dr. 9 on Spotify, and he was listening to my raps, and he was like, this is pretty good, man. Like, you should be Brody Lowballer, because you got, like, the mullet, and it's Jody High Roller, Riff Raff. It's like a rip-off of that.
I don't know who that is.
Good. No, I'm a fan of him. But he's, if I saw you, look up a picture of him. He's insane looking.
What's his name?
Riff Raff.
Riff Raff. It sounds like a cartoon character.
He is.
He is, yeah.
In real life?
Totally.
He's
exactly what you think I'm going to turn into.
My favorite thing in the old world is before TikTok there was Vine, and there's a Vine of Riff Raff, and he's wearing a grill that looks like shark teeth.
Oh yeah, I've seen this idiot before.
My main goal is to blow up and act like I don't know nobody.
So Maurice was like, you should be Brody Lowballer. And I was like, I can't be ripping off someone else. Like, I'm a comedian. I'm original and stuff like that. And I thought about it, and I was like, well, the music game is different. The music game is all about ripping off other people. So a few days went by, and I was like, yeah, let's do it.
I think they call it sampling, but yeah, you're right. Riff Raff looks like Theo Von fucked one of the Island Boys. That's upsetting, not gonna lie.
Did you see the Island Boy saying that he sold his soul?
What's this? What? No, I've never seen. I've only seen memes of them. I won't watch that. Come on, man.
Did you see that? I sent it to the group chat. Someone sent me a video of one of the Island Boy guys is on Instagram Live, and he's like, yeah, I sold my soul, and I haven't been happy ever since. And I told the demon, like, he's just saying all this crazy demonic soul selling shit.
And Eli was like, that must be true.
Yeah, there's no such thing as the devil. So,
right?
The end.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
What about negative entities?
What do you mean negative entities? What are you fucking talking about? This is starting to sound like Scientology.
Yeah.
No, this is strictly DMT.
No, there's no evidence for any of that. There's no need to postulate some external force creating things that we can prove exist because of fucking something in the physical universe.
Yeah, who needs the devil when you have Hitler?
I've seen a demon.
I'm sure you have. You smoke enough DMT, you'll see a lot of things. That doesn't make it real, right?
Yeah.
No, you don't have superpowers.
You don't know that.
It's just drugs. Yeah, I do know that. I do.
Dude, I'm God.
There's 500.
I made you.
There's 500 million years of human evolution.
Yeah.
Right, that suggests that what you're saying is not true. There hasn't been one instance in 500 million years of that happening.
Well, how much of the stuff that you see on the news every day is true?
The video and the words that people are saying, not the same thing, right? Like, evidence is evidence. Somebody saying something doesn't make it true. Like you saying that you've seen a demon, for example, doesn't make it true.
Yeah, like I've seen some pretty crazy things on DMT, and they inform my opinions, but also my opinions are retarded.
Well, I'm not delusional or schizophrenic.
You should be. You should look into it. Why would anybody have just one personality when you can have as many as you like?
That sounds so fun.
Yeah, like you.
Well, that's what Brody Lowballer is.
Yeah, I got it. It's an alter ego, but I'd probably say alter ego instead of my schizophrenic split.
Yeah.
Personality
Well, that's what's
disorder.
popular on TikTok is all these kids pretending to have dissociative identity disorder and shit.
Oh yeah, that's because there's. I'm
just having fun.
There's social currency involved in being afflicted in some way, whether it's by somebody else or by God or nature.
Well, and if you notice, it's almost exclusively white kids.
Oh yeah,
because they're like, well, we need to be unique.
Yeah, we
now.
need a victim card too. It's 2021.
Black kids have real problems.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
So they're like, oh, I'm struggling.
Yeah, Mexican kids are treading water in the middle of the night. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Or at work.
Trying
you
to
know?
yeah.
Yeah, white kids are like, my mom won't let me get candy, and black kids are like, I can't afford food.
And this is where Antifa came from, right? It's
the
outrage Olympics, more or less. I call it oppression FOMO. Like
I like that.
All the social currency right now is based on whether or not you're part of some group in the hierarchy that's been afflicted more than somebody else, or at least enough that you can be like, I'm not one of the bad guys, right? So it's like a two-part thing. One, there's social currency involved in being that person. Two, there's social shield.
Yeah.
Like, to keep people from, I'm not racist. I've also had to fucking whatever.
Yeah.
It's gay as shit.
Dude, so perfect. It's so interesting, too, because I feel like it really got exacerbated with everybody supposed to be inside for so long. Because I remember comedy shows, like, I've been going to them for a while, and it used to be, you get the stray heckler, and people talk about cancel culture, but it was only bad if you, like, raped people.
Or
No.
said the N word.
Well, let's
Well,
talk
and
about
even
the-
then,
let's
even
talk about
then,
the metaverse, though.
Michael Richards said the N word and was gone for a little while, but I mean, he could still go do places.
They're trying to push everyone inside so they can control everyone in the metaverse.
Maybe, but so what I'm saying is that when we got back out, now nobody knows how to act.
Well,
Like-
no one knew how to act before. I mean, it's been a problem. It's a confluence of problems, right? So one, we've definitely unlearned how to socialize properly, rather. Not only in polite ways, but we've also lost the ability to resolve conflict at the lowest possible level. For example, getting into a conversation instead of a shouting match, or getting into a fist fight instead of a gunfight. You know what I mean? It used to be very common in my high school where if you talk shit, just honor required that we go fight later.
Yeah.
And the winner won. There was no there's no prize.
Yeah.
It's just something that needed to be settled. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And now it's not like that anymore. And the other stuff is all the social currency thing, right? There's no that phrase, idle hands are the devil's plaything. Yeah, that isn't meant to demonstrate that there's a devil. It's like being bored or without purpose, and we're seeing that now with the fuck's this guy doing?
Are you like a hardcore atheist?
Yeah, for sure. Well, what does that mean? The word atheist shouldn't even exist.
Like you just think we're here by coincidence, or just over complex monkeys?
Well, we share 96% of the DNA that chimpanzees have, so I would say that's pretty goddamn close. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to feel that way as well, and then I did a bunch of DMT, and now I believe this stuff.
Well,
You've done it too, right?
Yeah. I started doing acid when I was 11.
Dan's
so-
like, this is bullshit.
yeah.
Dude, I had a similar thing as Eli, where I was like a staunch atheist, and so I'm still very much like religion's retarded.
Yeah.
Universally, there's no good points there, but like the idea that we might be a simulation, or there's some kind of greater existence that's outside of our realm of perception. I'm more agnostic to that possibility.
Well, there's no reason to ascribe any kind of deity to that, right?
Same. So I don't think that there's a single all powerful
Right.
or like a bunch of them. I don't think like there's a group of gods hanging out.
Well,
I think-
we're going to be the new gods once we create the AIs in the metaverse.
exactly.
That's the theory, right? We talked about it. So Peter Boghossian, who's one of the intellectual dark web guys, he was here yesterday, or Thursday rather, and what we talked about was, one of the things we talked about is, if we're in a simulation, the idea of us being in a simulation is that we're trying to find out if there's a God or not. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to find out if somebody can simulate this universe. So we make a universe and have them try to simulate it.
Yeah.
Right? And if they can accomplish it, then somebody probably simulated
Do
ours.
us. Yeah.
Turtles all the way down.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. It's a totally pointless endeavor, but it is pretty interesting, right? To see the quantum computing that's coming out of it.
Yeah.
It's like this going to the moon. Who gives a shit about going to the moon? But we got fucking phones.
Well,
And GPS and shit, so it was cool.
I see the metaverse right now, its potential as like U.S. Standard Oil was, and still is. Like, it wasn't, oil wasn't meant to destroy the environment. It was meant to fuel cars and make a bunch of money for the owners.
Oil
and I don't
hasn't-
think they're trying to confine everyone in homes to make everyone suffer. I think they're trying to confine everyone in homes so they use the metaverse and invest their money in these technologies. And the byproduct is being isolated and alone and trapped.
Maybe. We'll see, right? I mean, that's kind of like Gamer, right? Everybody's sitting in their chair, that big fat dude playing, basically playing real life Sims.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe-
Dude,
maybe.
Ready Player One is the future.
I'll tell you what, people who are sitting in a chair, fat and docile, and other people who absolutely have to work in that universe because they have no other option, that's a pretty good setup if you're trying to be an authoritarian. Because
Yeah.
one group doesn't give a fuck about the other group clearly, and the other group has no power to fight back. So that's a pretty good fucking system if you're trying to oppress some people, I guess.
Nice little hierarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On your thing about rediscovering whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
That's a pretty natural process. I was going to go into the new atheist movement was pretty militant, like Christopher Hitchens, Dan Dennett, Sam Harris, all those guys.
Yeah. I like Sam Harris.
Yeah, he's a good writer.
But I saw him do a speech in I think the Wilshire in Los Angeles, and I was so bored 15 minutes in that I walked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of buzzwords.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's a very, very smart neuroscientist, and he understands philosophy pretty well. But he does get very into the weeds. So if you didn't come prepared to hear one niche thing, then he's gonna blow by you. But that's not the point. The point is, human beings need to understand why they exist, and the only way to understand why you exist in a real way. I don't mean inflation, then Big Bang, and then fucking supernova, heavy elements, blah, 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 gravity, fucking electricity into water, life. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, okay, cool. But purpose.
Yeah.
Purpose is what you're looking for. You're looking for purpose. And religion gives you that.
How do you find purpose?
I masturbate a lot.
Yeah.
Like quite a bit. No, I like to I like to help people. So that's the thing I probably do the most, whether it's through figuring out problems or connecting them with other people or whatever the fuck it is. So
I've come to that same realization.
yeah, it's the only real way I think that you can go through life in a reasonable manner is to try to help other people. Because it's no matter look at all of the great hedonists through history. It's always a very tragic end.
Yeah.
And then you look at people who
Like who?
like everybody that died at 27 and 33, some of
Yeah.
whom dressed like this.
Yeah.
Quite a few of them, as a matter of fact.
What's interesting to me is the hedonists that somehow seem to outlast. Do you think it's just genetic?
Would you consider Fidel Castro a hedonist?
No, he's an autocrat. But no, we tried with him during the 60s, late 50s and early 60s. We sent prostitutes with very bad diseases after him. He wouldn't fuck them.
Yeah. And then we sent a chick to kill him, and he gave her the gun, and he was like, all right, fucking shoot me. And she couldn't. And then
Yeah.
they fucked.
Yeah, and he had
Dude, what a G.
we tried like exploding cigars and all kinds of shit.
That's
It
so
was-
cool.
Yeah. Well, it would have been cool if it had worked.
It's
You know what I
so
mean?
funny that like our
Yeah,
military
he survived-
was essentially like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner.
He survived 33 CIA assassination attempts.
Yeah, and one attempt to invade his country.
Yeah.
Which, if you read, what is it?
Dude, I don't know anything about all of that because I just that part of
Mm.
history I just glossed over because I felt it was so politicized when I was being taught it.
Yeah.
That I have no idea. Like, why would we give a shit about Cuba? Was it
well,
were
it's
missiles
because-
really a thing, or was that
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
Iraq missiles?
No, it was there. So there were three. The Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, I've heard those.
That's a
words.
real thing.
Yeah, Bay
So
of Pigs.
The
Is
Bay of
that-
Pigs was a different scenario. But
Okay.
The Cuban Missile Crisis is Russia was delivering parts for nuclear. I think it was actually reactors and not
Okay.
missiles. But either way,
Bad shit.
unacceptable. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
allow 90 miles from your border. You can't allow your enemy to put a fucking missile silo.
Yeah,
Obviously,
of
that
course.
seems pretty standard. Although we had put Jupiter missile silos all over Eastern Europe, and they weren't too thrilled about that. So
Are you familiar with Havana syndrome?
No.
Do you know what the cause of that was? Basically, everyone had brain traumas for no reason in one small area, and they think they were pumping electromagnetic frequencies through the air.
yeah, maybe.
Interesting.
I know what it is, but I have no idea what causes it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does.
No,
I don't know.
I thought you might have had some inside info.
no, they don't. All the people working in government right now are a bunch of liberal pussies, so they're not friends of mine. Not that I care about conservatives much either, but I definitely don't like liberal pussies in our nation's defense apparatus. That seems problematic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not. You don't go buy a fucking teacup poodle to guard your house.
See,
Yeah.
I get all fucking because I spend so much time in the fucking arts and a very liberal world of entertainment that I get caught up in the why do we have the military? And then I remember like, oh yeah, because we don't want to die.
What is something that you think, an idea that you think is super pervasive in that community that is just completely fucking stupid and wrong? I mean, obviously,
word policing.
Okay, yeah. I was
I
going to
think-
say skip the defund the police stuff because that's we have real 2 years of data on that now. That clearly doesn't work, right? I mean, that's fucking stupid. Everybody knows that now.
I support it.
I mean, you would. Yeah. You
I
kind of
liked-
have to looking like that.
I liked when I thought that it happened in Austin, like, because everybody told me, like, hey, Mike, guess what we did? We took money from the police and we bought a hotel and we're going to put all the homeless in it.
Yeah, I
And
love how that was like liberals' idea too.
They said that, and I was like, oh, good, you guys do that. That's going to be awesome.
That doesn't work, by the way.
And I don't know.
No, I know it doesn't.
Did we try it?
Read San Francisco, yeah, from 2008 until 2015.
Oh, that's an awful city, though.
No. It happened in San Francisco, in L.A., Oakland, Salt Lake City, Seattle, Portland, all over the country.
Okay.
So the idea was, we had the author of the book San Francisco on the show 2 weeks ago. The idea was that if we take people off the street, then they won't go for the drugs anymore, right? That obviously was stupid. Like if you go find an addict on the street right now and be like, hey, do you want a house for free? They're like, yeah.
Yeah, there I can do my drugs.
Yeah, where I can do my drugs safely? Yeah, of course, sure.
Well, dude, wouldn't we? I feel like the drug problem of. I saw a post that was about a music festival in, I think, the Netherlands or somewhere. But they were warning, like, hey, people are selling tourists cocaine, and it's fentanyl. Stop buying that shit. Like,
They need to start cutting cocaine with Narcan.
or
just giving everybody Narcan. Yeah, I haven't done any cocaine in like a year because I don't trust it anymore.
it's scary.
It's not scary. I mean, I would just take a little bit and know, but I don't want to do that. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I would rather not have to worry about any amount of that bullshit, because if I'm going to do cocaine, I'm going to snort all of it
Yeah.
now.
Well, I never choose
Like, how
to
do you like your
cocaine
cocaine? I like
sober.
it- oh, no.
It's never like, it's 12:30 in the afternoon. What should I do this evening? I'll purchase some cocaine.
I wouldn't purchase it at 12:30, but if I had it around, I would definitely just take a toot and fucking go out to Walgreens or whatever.
Sure, I've done that.
Yeah.
When I was working my day job in LA, I was coaching loan officers, and so sometimes I would have to be in for like conference calls at 8 a.m. at the office, and I would be out till 3 or 4 doing comedy shit and drinking. So I would just come in, and I was just doing bumps at my desk. And my coworker was like, dude, congratulations, you've made it full LA. You're just doing bumps at your desk so you could work in the finance world.
I mean, cocaine's plant-based. It's all natural.
Yeah.
Well, no.
It's not natural, but
No.
it's plant-based.
Part of it is, well, it is plant-based, yeah. I don't know if that's a label that is available. Like, sorry, officer.
Did you see the woke Coke that BuzzFeed reported about? Or
Woke?
maybe it was Vice.
Oh,
They
yeah.
made this shit that was supposed to be ethically sourced cocaine, and they called it woke Coke.
Which is impossible.
And hilarious.
Where are they growing the cocoa leaves?
I didn't get
Because if it's in
anywhere.
Colombia, then it's not ethical.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
I
buddy's
can't
in
imagine there's anywhere you can grow them ethically.
probably not.
Oregon?
Maybe some parts of Western Oregon. Yeah.
Small batch artisanal cocaine
Yeah.
from Portland.
I mean,
I would try it.
I would try it.
Yeah, I would too.
But yeah, that article, me and Mike had a long conversation about this, and I came to the conclusion that it was bullshit, and they're just lying for a marketing perspective, which is smart, but you can't get cocaine into the States without having a lot of people die.
Yeah.
So, speaking of death, a buddy of mine, he was on our show a week ago, Darian Irwin, very funny guy. He came up to me and he was like, hey man, have you heard of an exit bag? And this was just in like a normal conversation. I was like, no, tell me more. And he's like, so it's an elastic bag with like a plastic bag with an elastic rim, and then there's a tube and it's connected to a tank of helium, and you put that over your head, and then you put the tube in there, and then you kill yourself with it. It's called an exit bag, and it's supposed to be the easiest.
Goodbye, cruel world.
So he told me that, and I was like, can you imagine like you're killing yourself with helium in your last words? I was like, this wasn't your fault.
That would be really embarrassing if somebody walked in as you were checking out. That would suck.
Yeah.
Not as
there-
embarrassing as autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yeah, but you're not there for that. Your last moment on earth is knowing the person that I care about the most in the world, who I'm abandoning now, has to forever live with this memory in their head of this. This is the voice they hear when they think about me saying I love you.
I love
you.
Just fucking, that's so awesome.
I mean, it's pretty funny. If you really hate, like if you hate your fucking wife or something,
Which is why you kill yourself,
yeah,
right?
you should totally do something like that. Or just walk up to her like, hey, did you have a good day? Bam, and just blow your brain. Like super surprising. Don't let her find you. Do it in front of her.
I got you flowers, and in the middle of the bouquet is a shotgun, and you just put it in your mouth.
Sorry, the flowers went off again.
Dude, I'm the worst fucking person. So I was at a speech on Veterans Day in Houston, and it was for my day job. So I do some work stuff, and I present some products. And then this guy gives a speech, and it's a very traditional keynote. But he's a veteran that, you know, started off selling drugs and then went into the military and was a Marine, and then came back and tried to do contract work and kind of failed out of life, and had a divorce problem and all these things. But so he's doing like slides going through his life, and then he gets very somber and serious, and he goes, and in December of 2019, I hung myself. And then he clicks to the next slide, and it's a stock image of a noose. Yeah, And I laughed. And then the 50 people in the room were like, what the fuck? And I'm like, come on.
I would have laughed.
It's so funny. Your
laughed when
most
you told me
serious moment is reduced to a stock image of a noose on a slideshow. Like, wow.
I think maybe we should. You guys have met Jack Mandeville, right?
Yes.
He's
Yeah,
hilarious.
we should have Jack Mandeville do. He and one of our other hosts, Jared, like to do stock photo stuff. Like, so let's have an idea. Like today, we're gonna shoot 300 stock photos of people shopping for mayonnaise or something like that.
Yeah.
So we should have Jack do suicide stock photos.
That would be-
He would love that.
That would be incredible.
He would love that.
Dude, the helium one, that'd be good.
Well, I've got an idea for a show, a series that I want to do with Jack, and it's that. So I think this is a great idea, by the way. Like, Jack is a coal miner who has lost his job because of the current political nonsense, and he's one of the people that took the advice to learn to code. So now he's working at a lower level job, fucking, writing code or whatever, but he's a total Luddite still. Like, he hates technology. And
Perfect.
he's always just fucking grouchy and complaining about it, but with wild conspiracy theories, and somehow still manages to keep the job and move around throughout his day. I think it would be really funny, to be honest.
That's a pilot right
Yeah.
there.
But I don't care enough to do it, so
Yeah, but that's a very funny miniseries.
yeah, I wouldn't do it. Jack he'll probably get it done. I told him about it and told him to do it. I don't really care. Like, I don't want to do stuff. I just want it to exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I feel that very much. That's why I kind of feel like I was born like way too late. 'Cause
the
my
opposite.
family had slaves, and if I had been alive
Yeah.
during that part, I could have wanted stuff, and then it'd been done for me.
Yeah, or you could have, helped him.
What?
I liked
Oh
doing
no, we
shit.
were nice to him. That was so. My
We were nice to our slaves, folks.
Dude, so
Probably not how you want to introduce the fact that your family owned slaves.
So I heard that growing up, and it was always like a hush-hush thing. And then when I was 9 or 10, we made a really big deal of paying reparations. And our family cemetery is in the now ghetto part of Dallas. And so being there and then trying to bring some life back into the community and pay money into it. And they donated a house, but they had given school lessons to everybody on the property. So a bunch of their slaves learned stuff and had the equivalent of a high school education, which was the first of them to do that. And they taught women, but they were very progressive
Well, that was
slave
probably,
owners.
that last part was probably a mistake.
No, they did it on. I mean, I don't like that we did it, but they did it.
No, I mean teaching women.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So
I can't believe we let them drive.
what about that's stupid. What about a show about progressive slave owners?
Yeah.
Like, it's The Help, except for the white lady is always it's The Help.
Yeah.
Actually.
Do you think there's a correlation between women getting the right to vote in 1920 and the Great Depression of 1929?
I think that if women had that kind of superpower, we would have known about it years earlier. The collapse of European markets caused that shit, but also we're stupid.
Did women have rights there?
I fucking hope not. I mean, you would think not. People that think America is racist have no idea what real racism looks like.
Right.
I'm not saying that slavery didn't happen. That was obviously super fucked up, but I don't think that was even based on racism in the first place.
was all finance.
Yeah, that was money.
Yeah.
Now it's still fucking evil. That's not the point. The point is, if you are today in 2021, if you were a black person in America, you're just an American, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a black person and your family was born here and blah, 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 but if you're a black person in Spain and your family's been here for 3 generations, you're the N-word, right?
Whoa.
Yeah. You're not one of us.
They say that
motherfucker.
over there?
Oh, yeah. Big time. You're not one of us. Mainland Europe is way more racist than fucking America is. It's not even
Dang.
fucking close. By the way, they're thinking
I
about
always pictured a lot of cool black guys at Ibiza.
No, that's true. I've been all over Europe, and
Ibiza, yeah.
they're pretty racist over there.
Not Italy so much, but
Okay.
the beaches and the bigger cities for sure. But what I'm talking about is,
Dude, we should start sending black people to the Louvre and shit.
let's
And,
not send black people over there 'cause
I mean, cool
Yeah,
field trips, not
take it
slave
down about
ships.
20%.
No. I mean, it's hey, fuck you, Europe. We're gonna send black people to go get your culture, whether you like it or not, and we're sponsoring it.
Listen, my family's Jewish. I have no history of being an oppressor.
I guess.
Just the future of one.
No. I mean, Palestine, that situation is a little fucked up, but, stop bombing shit, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Well, they're not Israeli.
Mainland Europe is thinking about building walls, border walls now.
Really?
Like between Spain and Morocco, especially.
And that's supposed to do what? The same thing it did here? Nothing?
Yeah. I mean, it does. So people conflate the two things. Trump's border policy was very effective. Mm-hmm. The border wall is not going to do shit. It's just going to make people, maybe some lazy people don't come over, but if you build the border wall, you don't get the women and the children. You just get the fucking criminals then. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, cool, man, shit.
We got to keep those goddamn Mongolians out.
Yeah, it's shitty walk.
Well, someone was explaining to me that the wall is good because it's a delay tactic, but it's never going to keep people out. It's to give you time to stop them from getting in.
Yeah, maybe.
So it'd be better to just have a bunch of fucking drones.
Drones with fucking bombs on them and shit.
I mean, I put guns on my drones.
Or
I think guns with drone guns and people just manning those every 60 miles or whatever.
What about drones that call people gay?
I
don't think we should be shooting people trying to get in the country.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really funny.
No, maricon.
Yeah.
So they understood.
Just over.
Are you a big capitalist? Are you a fan of capitalism?
I am not a fan or not of it. It's the only economic system that really works. But the problem is that greed and selfishness and evil and fucking shit like that exists no matter where you are. Capitalism protects against it better than anything else. That's the answer.
You think capitalism protects against greed better than other systems?
Okay, so in a capitalist society, greed has a much longer...
An incentive, right?
It has an incentive, but it's an incentive for everybody. You know what I mean? So everybody's kind of struggling upward, except for maybe the top 1%, and more so the top, like 3% of the top 1%, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else is kind of sucks. But if the concentration of power is delayed at the top and more diffused at the top in capitalism, in communism, it is the despot themselves, whoever it happens to be.
So I'm with you there. Communism can't work because it has to be run by people, which then inherently just gets fucked.
Correct, yeah.
But the thing that always bothers me with capitalism is that money begets money. Like once you have wealth, you can essentially, it's very difficult to lose it unless you take insane risks.
Right.
No, it's not.
And you can build it.
Look at your dad.
No, but he was never rich. He had money. He had a $2 million house. He didn't have a $50 million portfolio. He had a Bentley, not a private jet. There's wealth. Like I grew up where I never had to think about money, and then you get to California where people don't have to think about money, nor do their grandkids. Mm-hmm. Like that's a whole different fucking
generational wealth. Yeah.
So there's this whole thing that like capitalism. Like when you get to the top, I love it, but also shouldn't there be like a wealth ceiling?
No.
No?
Well,
No.
so what I was going to ask you is, don't you think open borders would be better for capitalism? So minimum wage
In a way,
workers could be exploited better?
That's what NAFTA was. NAFTA was...
What is that?
North American Free Trade Agreement.
Oh, yeah.
Under Clinton. The unions hated it because it took a lot of their jobs, but it allowed commerce to travel across the U.S.-Mexico border easier, right? Maybe it worked a little bit, maybe it didn't. I think that it's uncouth or maybe unpolitically correct to say that other cultures have different standards of living than we do. Like everybody should always be the same in this new world we live in, which is fucking stupid.
Sure.
But it costs a certain amount of money to live in Mexico, and it is considerably less money than it costs to live in the United States. The same thing is true of the Germany-Poland border. So what Germany did was issue federal work permits to everybody in Poland that wanted to come over. And if you're a business in Germany and you hire somebody from Poland that doesn't have that work permit, your business is shut down permanently and all of your assets are liquidated.
Whoa.
Without any fucking, there's no court bullshit. You get caught employing one of those people, you're done.
And Germany's economy is crushing it, right?
They have been.
Aren't they
ever since
getting into the top 10 GDP and
ever since they came back from the 2009-10 collapse.
Oh, I thought you were going to say from the 40s.
Yeah, same.
Ever since that whole World War II
You seem
business.
pretty confident that Biden's plan is not going to win.
His plan? What plan is that?
Taking people's guns, imposing like a...
He pooped himself.
Yeah. Did you see that thing I posted? Yeah. Never forget, buddy, that Joe Biden shit himself in front of the Pope.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How can you tell? What is it?
Well, it's a rumor, but just follow me on my fucking timeline here, right?
Yeah.
Sometime in the first week of November, I think it was on the 2nd.
So first he went to Taco Bell.
Yeah. I think it was the 2nd of November when he met with the Pope. And it was supposed to be a 15-minute meeting. Turned out to be 75 minutes behind closed doors. And the rumor from someone was that Joe Biden shit himself, and they had to take care of that situation. That's why it took a while.
Okay. I love
and
this.
And then obviously the right didn't really pay any attention, or the
left.
The right media didn't pay any attention to it.
Oh, okay.
They're not going to publish that shit. But the left writes all these, like, like, I mean, nobody really believed it until they started to say too much.
Yeah.
And then at the COP26 thing, the summit, the climate summit that's going on right now, Camilla Parker, who is the Duchess of Cornwall, so the guy that's going to be king, his wife.
All right.
She said she was in mid-conversation with Biden, and he just let out a loud-ass fart and continued talking like nothing had happened.
Amazing.
And she's like hearing it in her dreams. And she's at court. When I say court, like British court, not the court you were in 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
She was at court, and then with all her friends, just telling everybody about it. So if a guy can't control his own asshole mid-conversation, that's enough evidence for me. Joe Biden shit himself in front of the Pope, and then he crop dusted the fucking Duchess of Cornwall.
Well, dude, the shit that
Listen, things can happen.
Eli shits himself once a week, but
You get one a year, not week.
I don't shit myself once a week.
Well,
Anymore?
You get one a year.
Yeah, I crossed that boundary before.
What's interesting to me is that there's a certain age where a white man stops addressing farts, and I think it's right around 60. Because like I've had to deal with a lot of these old white dudes, and that exact same thing happens where they'll be talking, and there's no way that you're such a fucking psychopath that you're just ignoring your asshole as a trumpet without it just being like ingrained in your physiology. Like you legitimately cannot notice it.
Yeah, it's 60 years of red meat.
Yeah.
Tearing your asshole to pieces.
Yeah.
Right? It looks like fucking mesh fiber down there now. It's rough. How would you enforce a wealth ceiling exactly? And then where would the money that they would have made otherwise go to?
So I feel like...
You know what I'm saying? So if the wealth ceiling was $100 million, for example.
I would have to put it higher than that.
No, I'm just for round numbers.
I'd say 1 billion. You make anything over $1 billion, and it
goes where?
And then you go communist with it.
No.
Redistribute the top or reallocate it. Or
then nobody would ever get rich ever again.
Well, you could just make $1 billion and then be like, oh, I'm a billionaire now.
No.
Because I made this comparison the other day. So I do jujitsu. There's a belt system there. You go white to black. I'm a white belt. I don't hate the system because I'm at the bottom of it. I'm motivated to move up the belt system.
That's because you know you can move up the belt system, and that's something that's important and an important critique of capitalism, and probably the best solution for dealing with any kind of inequality, whether it be racial or ethnic or gender or whatever. It's the only color that matters in this country is green. You know what I mean? You don't see rich black people getting fucked with by police too much.
Yeah.
Unless they're rappers causing panics at their fucking, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
I mean, if you rape and murder people, then whatever the fuck. But
unless you're really good at music.
If you had, like Michael Jackson,
Dude,
can
Chris
tongue
Brown
kids' buttholes.
beat the shit out of Rihanna. And
she probably started it. I've been in relationships.
Dude, I went on a Tinder date with a chick when I just moved to LA, and she told me that the hot goss was that Rihanna had just told Chris that he'd given her herpes, and that she was going to tell people, and then he snuffed her.
Okay, it's his fault.
Probably for giving her herpes too, but
yeah.
At any rate, if let's say it's $100 million and everything over
thank you.
goes to someone else, why would anybody ever work?
Well, $1 billion cap would not stop me from wanting to advance my wealth.
No, I'm not talking about stopping you from wanting to advance your wealth. What I'm talking about is, let's say you make $1 billion and then you make 50 billion more, and that all gets redistributed somewhere. Those people didn't work for that money. There was no incentive, so nothing got created because of it.
So what I'm saying
there's no incentive for the lower down people
to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Take the money that would be the CEO paycheck, because like CEO raises have gone up disproportionate to the wage of an entry-level worker,
Right.
and just cascade that wealth down. Once
Wait,
you
how
hit
about
that
this?
mark at the company, and if you're a private wealth owner, then the money gets invested directly into infrastructure and in a 50-mile radius of wherever you live.
I was going to say it goes to taxes, and then whatever that takes out of how much everyone owes, everyone pays less taxes.
Fuck taxes.
Do you trust the government?
No.
So shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's
Because there's no apparatus that exists on
I
Earth,
know.
or even a theory of an apparatus could do what you're talking about, other than government.
That's why we need religion. No,
No, I think the real key is to just focus on yourself and just focus on advancing yourself and doing what makes you happy. And if everyone did that, I think a lot of things would just fall into place.
That's a really fucking great reading rainbow.
Oh yeah,
bullshit.
I'm not saying any of this
how's
makes
your life
any
doing,
sense in
though?
the real
My life is
world.
dope.
I'm just saying
yeah, because you do what you want.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, doing what you want is a function of being able to do what you want, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. But you know, it's.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are going to fail miserably.
Sure, yeah, but
Good.
Yeah, in Stoicism, failure isn't necessarily a thing, right? So you may attempt something and it doesn't work, but that doesn't mean you failed. That just means that thing didn't work.
It's a new way to not make the light bulb.
Failure, the definition of failure is not completing a task you intended on. Like, I forgot to get eggs the other day at the grocery store. That was technically a failure, but it doesn't bother me.
It depends on the timeline, right? Like if your goal is to lose 10 pounds, for example, or gain 10 pounds, and you could just say at whatever point you lose or gain it, regardless of how long it took. Now I've succeeded. Up until you could say maybe until then I'm a failure, and that's what motivates you, but that's stupid. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. And there's been quite a bit. The people we're talking about that are struggling for the most part have been financially and educationally oppressed for years. And I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about coal miners in fucking West Virginia and shit. Have been, and this has been the case. This is what Jordan Peterson talks about all the time. It wasn't just black people getting assaulted by autocrats throughout history. Everybody has been beaten down by the aristocracy since fucking human beings have existed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's been rough for most people. If you go to medieval fucking England, people, like a farmer was not allowed to learn how to read. It was not legal for them. The only thing that they got all their information from the fucking Bible, or not the Bible, but from the preacher who just only read the Bible to them.
Yeah.
And then
You don't think black people have it a little worse, though?
Sure, yeah. More recently.
So I think the whole thing with all the police shootings is I don't think that the police shooting black people is the real issue. I think it's the mass incarceration of black people. Sure. And the reason why the media is focusing on the shootings is because they want to distract from that. Because slavery was never really abolished. It was just reallocated to private prisons. Like that's in the first sentence of the 13th Amendment.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit of information in that sentence you just said.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say you're pretty much on the right track. The other part of that is that the prisons being loaded up with black people is because of
drugs.
Because of
being illegal.
Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
It was Joe Biden that wrote the crime bill. The guy that's your president right now.
Yeah.
And it's Kamala Harris
who enforced
it in the largest state in the country.
Yeah.
So,
well, but that's the thing that's so interesting to me is that you look at where
But she's a
Democrats lie
woman.
on a political compass, and they're not left of center. Like if you like a Democrat that's like an actual liberal, you have to get to like Bernie Sanders. You know?
yeah, I mean, he's not really a Democrat even.
No. Well, he's not even relevant. He's
Well,
he's,
he is. He
he's
is in
exciting to
some ways,
millennials.
Yeah.
But he's
I would
gonna-
have been down for him.
How many people, if you had to guess how many unarmed black people got shot by police a year, how many do you think it would be?
I don't know.
19.
1,000.
9.
9. See, and like if that's,
Out of 275 million interactions with police.
but I don't watch news.
That's almost one interaction per person. Jesus.
That's a lot.
That's too many cops.
Too many cooks.
Well, we see what happens when there's not enough cops, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
I get away with murder.
Yeah, which would be dope. I mean, actually,
I would
about
like-
40% of all murders go unsolved anyway, so you got a pretty decent shot. You got to think that the lower 60% are morons, or people that got eyeball witness. So,
Yeah.
How do you think that we fix the cop problem then? Do we give them more money and make it for more training?
I don't think it's necessarily just a cop problem from the
Same.
very first. It's a problem with community, right?
Okay.
And most modern sociologists will say that it is fatherless homes is the biggest predictor of crime in America right now. Fatherless homes, and if you add poverty to that, like the need to commit crimes, or at least from a cultural sense, the need to commit crimes, then you're in real trouble. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter. And this is something that we've affected as a nation directly and have never really done anything about it. You talked about reparations earlier. About $1 trillion was robbed out of the black community because they didn't get paid for any of their work, right? About $1 trillion, adjusted for inflation. Now, if they had invested that into properties or even in banks in the late 19th century when that became more of a thing, anything, you were talking about $6 trillion worth of wealth. 4 to 6 trillion, which would be double the amount of wealth that's in that community right now. So half of their wealth was just robbed from them. And then when the apparatuses that created the middle class in America, one was the GI Bill, which is the first time a bunch of fucking dumb dicks got to go to college for free. You know what I mean? Black people who served in World War II were eligible, but the universities were still segregated, so they told them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
Same thing with the VA home loan.
Oh,
16 million people came back and used that bitch. And the way that most middle-class people create wealth in their lifetime is through their mortgage, right? So you have $1 million mortgage, $1 million rather worth of mortgages over your lifetime, and by the time you pass it on to your kids, you should probably have somewhere between 800 and 1.2 million in equity if nothing bad happens, right? Just in market fluctuations. So that's a lot of money. But that never happened for that community. And then we started throwing them all in jail, right? So you take dads away, and then you fucking take money away, and this is what happens. But people don't want to fucking ascribe any kind of choice to that matter, because there's quite a few examples of people, despite all that shit, making good on the American experience, regardless of how they started. I mean, my childhood wasn't great either.
Sure.
But, it is what it is.
Yeah, the cops in Irvine, California, is one of the safest cities in the country. They get paid like $80,000 a year, and there's I don't hear of many instances of them abusing their power.
I don't know if it's a matter of how much the individual police get paid. I think when people talk about reimagining policing, I think that's an interesting thought, because what is it supposed to be in the first place, right?
That's the thing that always comes up in the defund the police conversation.
Standing police forces didn't exist, by the way, until the middle 19th century.
Okay.
Until the 1850s, when people started getting robbed and shit. It used to be posses. Like, we would just, if something bad happens, we have a sheriff, but he's just some dick. It's one dude for a town. That's the police force, right? And if bad shit happens,
he's like a fat bear usually.
And all
fucking sheriff of Nottingham.
But if something dumb happens, all the other people fucking come help him, whatever the fuck, right? And then the Industrial Revolution happens. More people are packed into cities, working in factories. There's more of an element of crime, right? So they created these private police forces first, like the Pinkertons, for example, the people that did all the security for the trains back in the day. And they also a lot of their people were the first Secret Service agents as well. That shit didn't even exist until around the time when your great-grandparents were born.
Nice.
Yeah, the Secret Service was founded to fight counterfeit money originally. I think like 50% of the
Treasury. They were under the Treasury Department until fucking 10 years ago. I don't remember when that.
But half of all the circulating currency, when I think Abraham Lincoln was president, was counterfeit.
Yeah, there was also a lot of.
That's cool.
Yeah, the Confederacy was printing fake money to try to devalue the U.S. dollar.
Nice.
I mean, that's what we're doing on purpose right now.
Yeah.
So
shit.
Why not? But the reimagining policing. I wish people weren't so on the right weren't so anti that.
Yeah.
Right, because there's a lot of stuff that can be, and I'm not talking about sending social workers out to fucking people to domestic violence situations. That's fucking stupid. That's really fucking stupid. People are gonna get hurt if that starts happening.
Yeah, correct.
But we have to. There's something called Shaw's pathway methodology. It's a theory in sociology, particularly with regard to criminality and terrorism, where there are inflection points in a human being's life that cascade and lead them down certain paths. And if we can find out the one that switches on the terrorist gene or whatever the fuck it is, right, or the criminal gene, and prevent that from ever happening, then we can probably stop a lot of this shit. Now that.
Ooh, you want to genetically modify humans?
No.
Eli's like, with eugenics?
No, you think about.
I think we should make super people.
You think about what we know right now, which is that fatherless homes and poverty create criminals.
Yeah.
And you find a way to eliminate those things.
Yeah.
Fatherless homes. And so
CRISPR babies.
no
More
matter,
gay dads.
maybe
That would help.
Two dads in one home?
well, you don't.
Two gay dads.
I don't really
good
care
skit.
who's sucking whose dick or
Yeah.
whatever, but you need, in the same way that you need this in politics, you need this in a child's upbringing.
Gay sex?
No,
Masculine and feminine energy?
Yes.
Yeah.
you need both. If you can get it from two gay dudes or a butch lady and a fucking lipstick lesbian, then fucking go for it. You just have to get those things because it's
Well, and you said
500
something.
million years of evolution have now come to the point where we require that. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. If you don't get it, you don't do well.
So what you brought up earlier that I think is interesting was that sense of community is gone. Like that doesn't exist anymore. But I think that that's where we can start to allow for, because like if you're in a shitty marriage and you have a kid, you shouldn't stay together for the kid because that creates a whole new set of issues
Right.
for the kid. But then if you're now a single parent, you have failed your child in a different way. And that's where I think something like community would be interesting to pick up the slack that's left in a single parent household.
Yeah, it's what churches are supposed to do, right? That's
Yeah.
why they're all tax exempt organizations, but they don't do any of that. They just rape kids and steal money
Correct,
So-
because
because it's awesome. But I mean, you can't just do that.
you can't just do that, church.
No, that's kind of what the church system in America. That's the reason it was first made tax exempt, and they certainly don't do that. But there's plenty of stuff that we can do. I like to solve things at the lowest possible level. So if you're a libertarian person or a conservative, you should be trying to you shouldn't be trying to tear the government down because that doesn't work. You should be trying to box them out, do their job for them. Right?
That makes way more sense.
Stop it before it even gets to them, and then they have nothing to do except for sit around and complain. And then we have to reimagine. So this whole thing about capitalism and taxes and shit, the presumption on the left seems to be that we have this tax bill and we've got to get to that number somehow. And if I would rather the money come from rich people than poor people. That is a reasonable thing to think.
Sure.
Right? But
Yeah, if it worked.
But that's not true. It's not true that we have a certain tax bill that they've created that we don't even know what it is, by the way. How much money are we going to spend this year in America?
No idea.
You're a taxpayer, though, right?
Yeah, ostensibly.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to make money to pay taxes.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So in what other world would somebody, particularly the vast majority of the country, 60% or so of the country that lives in some way paycheck to paycheck, even if there's a little more wiggle room than usually, most people live that way. And where else would you put your money where you don't know where the money's going if money is that large of a concern to you? That's fucking
I'm with
stupid.
you.
So the premise that we have to get to fucking $3 trillion in spending a year, I don't believe it, because I've worked in the government and I've seen how much money we waste. I've seen us waste $10 trillion on two dumbass wars.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. So that's my issue, though, is that, like, okay, so we don't want to take the money from the rich because having more taxes doesn't work because the government is completely fucking useless. And the more money we give them, the more useless they become. Also correct. But also, 60% of America is living paycheck to paycheck and is forced to pay those taxes or they get fucked by the IRS. So there's not really an option. So it's like, what do you do?
There's an option.
Do you just
File,
go?
you
say fuck
form
it
an
and just-
S corp. You learn the tax laws and you learn how the system
Where
works.
do you vote? Libertarian?
Me?
No, I'm saying if you're
Oh,
a person in that situation, you're like, well, the tax bill isn't going to work because they're going to get a bunch more taxes, so I vote no on that tax bill.
Yeah.
I don't
Right?
think voting is
And
as
then we get
important
nothing.
as learning the laws. Because if you know the laws, if the rich people can do it, you can do it too. It doesn't only apply to rich people because they're a certain type of person. It applies to the numbers correlated to their.
Well, there are some people that are whitelisted in life, for lack of a better phrase, for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
But for the most part, yeah, you can, like, that was the big problem with Robin Hood. Too many plebs got into the Senate, and they had to shut that shit down. You know what I mean? It was uncomfortable for people.
We got to do an ad read.
Yeah, I don't know who I would vote for. Like, I don't believe, as a matter of fact, I'm wearing a shirt right now that says all politicians are cunts.
Yeah, amen.
And I believe that wholeheartedly. I think that political parties are fucking stupid. Political parties are like superfluous. It is. We know that in all of humanity we need masculine and feminine energy. Masculine to provide and protect. Feminine to make sure that fucking everybody's taken care of.
Nurture and empathy,
Nurture,
yeah.
So we have to have both of those things. We decided along the way to call them Republican and Democrat. So Republicans care about defense and guns and shit like that, and liberals care about fucking people's feelings and civil rights and shit like that. That's fine. But all this other bullshit is meaningless. Like, why the fuck do Republicans care about abortion?
No idea.
I have no fucking...
Because of
Have you
Jesus.
seen that new sign?
Because of Jesus.
There's a new sign up. It's like a cartoon fetus in the womb holding a sign that says, "Thanks, Texas," or "I love you, Texas," or something. I want to go up and graffiti it and be like, "Thanks for allowing me to become a pedophile."
Good. Yeah.
What?
100% of children that aren't aborted become pedophiles.
No, not 100%, but more than 0.
Yeah. And on that note, we should go to a word from our sponsor.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after speaking with them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. By cutting out retail stores, there's no crazy overhead costs that get passed down to you in the form of mystery fees. Instead, Mint just passes on the sweet savings direct to you.
Yeah, I absolutely love Mint Mobile. I've been using it for, a month now. The service is great everywhere, and it's so much cheaper.
They're saving me a lot of money.
Yeah, that bullshit from back in the day, it actually started happening in the mid-2010s, but...
Hang on a second.
We got to finish the
Everybody uses the same cell towers now.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's not like, I get better coverage with this company or this company. No, everybody's using the same towers now. So all those, the other phone companies that are touting that shit, they're full of it.
Yeah.
It's just not true.
Yeah, the coverage on this, I have dual SIMs, and my Mint Mobile coverage is better all the time. And the savings is, the crazy part, because it's $15 a month.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
awesome.
To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/giggle. That's mintmobile.com/giggle. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/giggle.
Yay.
And then cut your dick off.
God damn it, dude. We're going to have to do a redo now.
Why?
No, it's fine.
No, the ad was fine. It's
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
He's awesome.
He's a very smart businessman.
Dude, I watched the new
He's
movie
an
with him
amazing
and The
human.
Rock in it, Red Notice.
Isn't he good?
I mean, it's terrible, and I love it.
I thought Free Guy was really good.
I haven't seen it yet.
You should. It's
Yeah.
on, I think, HBO Max,
Perfect.
which I don't know if you poors can afford that.
No,
I'm not poor.
yeah, he's not poor. I'm poor.
You should be.
That's why he's a rapper.
You look like you should be poor, to be honest, which you could use that to your advantage.
Exactly.
Like, you could panhandle like that as long as you take the chain off, probably.
Yeah, I look pretty close to a schizophrenic
Yeah.
homeless person.
Maybe the women's sunglasses as well,
These are the same ones Biggie had, actually.
as I said.
Yeah, Biggie was known for.
Wait,
his
can we get
women's
back to the
sunglasses.
GMO babies?
They're not, so,
Eli wants to genetically modify babies so that they don't have to deal with anything.
No. So the point of that isn't to genetically modify.
But are you open
anybody.
to that?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think we can all agree the problem with the world is shitty people. So
Well,
what
you
if we
can't-
could
you
use
can't-
science to make less shitty people?
No, that's
But then
not-
it would be like who's in charge of who's shitty.
No, there's no. Certainly, there are.
I think it's possible to sequence the entire human genome down to personality.
Well, that's cool.
That's.
But it can't be
no.
because it's nature and nurture.
Yeah, I mean, you take.
Well, why not cover 50% of it?
People have done
Sure.
these studies with twins that were separated at birth, like
It's so
adopted and
cool.
stuff. I mean, there are some things that are very similar, and it's one of the things that the current NIH director Francis Collins used actually when he was mapping the human genome in the late '90s, was to figure out the commonalities between the two, because those are probably genetic markers that you can't do anything about it, right? Like your left thumb bends in a certain way, or you have like
Predisposition to certain things.
some kind of physical, or even sometimes it is a social predisposition. Like
There's a
autism
great
and
twin
stuff like
study
that.
about two guys that married women that were very similar, named their dogs the same thing, but they didn't meet until like their 40s.
Yeah, it's weird.
And when they met, they both there was like a moment in an elevator where someone farted and the two of them laughed and no one else did. It was just.
And then there's that movie Twins, right? With Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. You've never seen this?
I've seen gifs of it, but
You
I've never
should.
watched it. I should watch it.
Yeah, come on, man.
Smoke some drugs, watch a hilarious
Well,
film.
you should never watch.
Are they the twins?
Yes. So they were.
That sounds good.
They were created in a lab. Basically,
Amazing.
yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's really funny.
Damn.
It's one of the '80s movies that really stands up.
You know what's crazy is like the concept of twins is involved in my favorite movie, Tiptoes. Have we talked about this? The twins in this movie are Matthew McConaughey and Gary Oldman, except Gary Oldman is a midget.
Oh yeah, I've
And
heard of that, yeah.
they ran out of a budget for the film.
Yeah.
So the entire film, it's Gary Oldman just on his knees with shoes on his knees.
yeah.
And it's fucking incredible.
That is the funniest movie of all time that's not supposed to be funny.
Maybe.
Mac and Me is up there, but I think that was supposed to at least have some nods at humor.
I mean, a lot of horror movies are unintentionally funny
Yeah,
because it's just so stupid.
the slasher aspect of it is
Or
always
maybe you're
fun.
just a psychopath and you're like, huh, that bitch is bleeding everywhere. That's hilarious.
I don't feel one way or the other about the bleeding. Yeah. That's just something that's happening.
Like I said,
sound crazier?
psychopath.
Let me ask you this, does it help in that situation to care about the bleeding?
No.
And that's why
Could you be an EMT?
Yeah.
I could not, dude.
I was
Hurry up and die faster.
I was an infantry fucking paratrooper. I think.
Oh man.
Yeah. What? How, you guys you are alive and shit, right? I'm not. This isn't all in my head.
No.
I think it's in my head.
Maybe. That's because you're a fucking a narcissist, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say solipsist.
Maybe a little bit of that. Are you a fucking Epicurean? Maybe.
I don't know what that is.
He's a guy.
I had an app called
Epicurious.
Epicurious I could select what was in my fridge and it would tell me what to make with it.
Oh, that's dope. Epicurean meals. Yeah, they
I mean, sampling from every culture, right?
They used to well, maybe I don't know about that, but they used to make these dope ass cookbooks back in the day. Yeah, they had like
love food.
what's that fucking?
So Epicurean's like a philosophical buffet.
Not necessarily. They're hedonists.
No, I'm not a hedonist.
Disagree. I just don't think you're. It's hedonism applies to any vice, even loving oneself. You know what I mean? Which
Yeah,
you
like
you're
hedonism
clearly
could be
addicted
just
to that.
giving in to every impulse.
I mean, I also hate myself, so I balance it out.
Well, that's the only way you can do that is if you hate yourself. Because if you love yourself, you wouldn't really do that.
Do
know
what?
I mean? You wouldn't focus so much on yourself. If you loved people who are comfortable with their surroundings don't spend a whole lot of time looking inward. They mostly look outward.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's not good for comedy.
Yeah.
No, it's not. That's why Patton Oswalt told that joke, ironically, before his wife died. But it was like, now that I'm married, happily married, and have a kid, it's going to really affect my comedy. Like, you don't want to hear, like, oh, I fucking cuddled with my wife this morning.
Right.
And I don't know if he was accurate, though, because he hasn't gotten funnier since she died.
Well, he's remarried again. He's already got a new wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do
But
that.
did you watch Annihilation? It's the one right after she died.
No.
Oh, it's
Oh,
hilarious.
no, yeah, I did. I watched, like, the first 45 minutes or so until, I think, wasn't he just...
He did crowd work with like a couple people, and,
Yeah.
and it was fucking garbage.
Yeah.
But when he gets into the actual stand-up of it, it's one of the few specials where I can think of someone that had a punchline where I laughed and also shed a tear. I'm a huge pussy, so I cry at stuff pretty easily.
like
So-
what? When's the last time you cried?
Oh, there was a bad one the other day. It was an episode of House. I was watching an episode of House where Cal Penn's character Lawrence Kuttner kills himself, and they go.
Spoiler alert.
I guess it's fucking season 5. It's a fucking 20-year-old show. But anyways, Kuttner kills himself, and he's like from an adopted family, and so House is like being a dick, and it's like your fault for adopting this brown kid and not checking in on him, you shitty white guilt fucking assholes. And then I was like, oh no, and then I was like, oh good, I won't cry. It's like an angry thing. And then they show the funeral, and I just weeping, like, ah man, it's not even a real person. It's a character in a show.
I have a delayed response. I don't think I'm a narcissist because I don't think I actually exist.
God damn.
I'm just a consciousness that's connected to everyone, and I'm
you're-
just using this biological rental for now.
So you're Krang. You're just a brain floating around.
Is that
much.
the tummy brain guy
Yeah.
from Ninja Turtles?
Krang, yeah. Yeah. It's hilarious. He was one of my favorite characters. I used to, because I started doing psychotropic drugs at a pretty young age.
You said 11 for acid?
Yeah, so like Saturday mornings were a lot different for me. Right? It wasn't
Better.
it wasn't just bowls of cereal. Like I'm seeing lasers on G.I. Joe, I'm like, this is dope. Yeah. You know what I mean?
this
when-
fucking rules.
Whenever Krang came out, holy Christ, it was so fucking funny. I couldn't, every time it came on the screen, I couldn't stop laughing. I had to stop watching the shit because it was
so
so
funny.
Yeah.
I love the idea of like just your parents being like, wow, Dan just really loves cartoons. This is hilarious.
They never really noticed. My dad noticed I was high on weed one time.
Yeah?
But he could probably smell it. Like, 'cause
Okay.
He was a pothead back in the day, too.
That makes sense.
I don't know that at that point in my life, I think I was like 16 or something. I don't think, unless I was super baked, he wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah. My mom caught me smoking weed definitively for the first time. I had a friend over. We got real stoned, and then we raided the kitchen.
Yeah.
Passed out. And then my mom's the sweetest lady on the planet. So she wakes up the next morning and is going to cook us breakfast. And so she goes in the fridge, and then she waits until my friends left to confront me. She's like, Michael, did you smoke weed? I was like, no, Mom, what are you talking about? She's like, well, I only noticed we were missing from the fridge a frozen pizza and an entire stick of butter. Did you put butter on a pizza? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, so you were smoking weed.
Objection. Why would you not do that? I put butter on top of steak.
It was
taste better.
a single
A whole
DiGiorno
stick?
pizza, and
No,
I put
no,
an
no.
entire stick of butter on that pizza.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was like I was 16 and high.
Would you rather get caught with weed or masturbating? Because
I knew that was coming.
With weed,
Weed.
you're going to be in trouble. But with masturbating, that changes the relationship, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially if she stays too long.
Dude, my mom.
Like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh no. I'm like, well, don't stop. I'm like, what?
Is this the one from Pornhub?
Yeah.
No.
My mom, I made like a homemade vaporizer for weed out of a light bulb when I was 14, and my mom thought I was smoking crack. And I was like, no, not yet.
That's a reasonable
Yeah, it looked bad.
thing for her to say.
It looked
yeah.
bad.
My mom, so I got caught selling weed at school my freshman year, like 5 days before the end of the year. And so, after that happened, I stopped. And then junior year, I started smoking again. And my mom was suspicious. And she was like, are you smoking weed again? I was like, no, Mom, of course not. And then she took me, like a great psyop, she took me to go get a fucking really nice haircut at a great salon. And I guess bribed the lady to take a piece of my hair and then got my hair tested for drugs. And she said that when she went in to pick up the results, that the guy said, you could smoke this and get high. She's like, your son is smoking weed every day. I'm like, oh, no.
Well, look, I mean, you have to be, there's something called authoritative parenting, right? And it's kind of it's almost like a management style where all of the problems are we and us, and all of the solutions and successes are you and whatever the fuck. So
What do you call that?
authoritative parenting. So instead of like, it's not one of these hippie no judgment kind of situations. It's like, hey, what you did's fucked up. We've got to get you back on the right track. And then you pose the question to the kid, what can we do to fucking make this stop? And you don't let them not answer that question. You know what I mean? And then you provide alternate solutions and shit like that.
My parents were busy at work.
I think
so
if you're
I
good,
didn't
yeah,
have
for
time
sure.
to ask.
Well, no, that's like at night though. I'd be like, yeah, you have to make time for your children.
Yeah.
So you would think. I don't know.
No, at night though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at night, though.
But
we're
it's-
sleeping, you fool.
I think if whenever I used to catch my soldiers doing stupid shit, I would behave that way. It doesn't help anything just to yell at them,
Right?
right? It just doesn't. It doesn't solve all that does is make me feel better, and that doesn't even work.
Yeah, temporarily. And
Yeah.
then your empathy kicks in and you're like, oh, I didn't help this problem. I just made them
Well,
feel more
even
shame.
if you don't feel empathy for it, you haven't actually solved anything. It's like getting mad. Like, hey, this fucking thing won't work, and you smash it. Like, well, sure, shit isn't going to work now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what you're doing anytime you address a situation like that. People that get all tuned up and excited and loud and shit when things aren't going well, whether they're agitated or afraid, you're doing yourself a disservice by doing that. You're eliminating your ability. You're eliminating your ability to solve that problem, more or less, or at least solve it efficiently. Does it make sense?
Yeah, that's a good point. Anger doesn't really solve much.
I have good
anger
news.
solves all sorts of
Outward anger.
Rage.
expressed. Okay, yeah.
things. Rage is
It makes
a
you
very useful
stronger.
tool, yes.
Well, we're very anti-Semitic on this show, so
Anti-Semitic or semantic?
it was about the rage, anger.
It's a double
Well, I
entendre.
mean, so
Yeah, different.
Anger-
Hey, I got some good news.
yeah. What's that?
Casey Rocket is going to be here for the Worm Report.
Oh,
Sweet.
that's
We'll stay
incredible.
on until he gets here then.
Yeah, he'll be here in like 10 minutes.
Good. Rage is very useful, right? But it's like rage is like it's like the difference between a bucket of water and pushing the water through the end of a hose or through a what do you call that thing?
A spray nozzle?
A nozzle, yeah.
Yeah.
So it focuses in contrast. That's what a laser. Laser means it's light amplified. It's amplified.
Sir.
Yeah. Real Genius, right?
Yeah.
I love that fucking movie. But that's what it is. It's if you can take whatever you're feeling and concentrate it into its appropriate output, then you can do a lot of cool shit, right? And you can not fuck up a lot of shit you shouldn't fuck up.
So, but my rage though is like, that to me, rage and anger are the difference between like a controlled burn and throwing a Molotov cocktail into a field. If you're angry or you have rage, like, and you're using that like as a tool, if it's controlled and you're not like blind with rage, then it can
sometimes
be
you need
useful.
a little chaos in life too, though, right? So it's like
Sure.
your metaphor is fine, but what I would say is anger is more like a river flowing, and rage is more concentrated, but it's also more immediate. It's more, I would say, more than a Molotov cocktail. It's like a grenade going off.
Okay.
And sometimes you need.
I was just thinking fire.
Yeah. So
Scary.
Sometimes you need an explosion. Like if somebody charged in here right now,
Yeah, you would
trying
shoot
to do
them.
some violent shit, I would fuck them up really quickly. Yeah.
But that's where I'm more of a little bitch. I'd be like, oh, Dan's got it. Like,
that's the bystander effect.
yeah, well,
right?
yeah, well, no, but like, dude, I don't have a gun.
That's your fault.
I don't want a gun.
You're in Texas.
I don't want a gun. I was saying this before we started, dude. Like, I have too many intrusive thoughts, and I drink, and I get the sads. Like, I just don't want a gun around. It's too easy.
I don't think Mike should have a gun.
Yeah, I'm not going to do anything bad with it. Like, maybe it would be good to have for defense in a box with a locked safe with a breathalyzer on it. That could be good, But I don't know that, like,
That's not a bad idea.
I just don't know that I really need a gun more than I need to not shoot myself.
I feel like a good alternative for meditation, if you have a lot of anger, would just be like screaming at the top of your lungs alone at home.
Okay.
Well, that's not. Yeah, that's a thing. Sure, people do that.
Yeah, that's just like a shitty version of transcendental meditation.
I mean, it kind of is, but it's also
nothing like transcendental meditation.
It's like
No, you need a mantra.
it's like releasing a pressure valve,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes you need to fucking yell or punch something or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that there's something to be said for feeling the early stage of that and then figuring out some way to handle it before it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
is probably important, right?
I think that's why meditation is important at all, is just being able to check in with how you're feeling and noticing that.
Well, we need to. That's the thing. There is if you read, there's a number of books you should read. Two of them by Sam Harris. One is the moral landscape is an important book to read.
I like that one.
And the other one is Waking Up. So
Yeah.
they kind of discuss, the moral landscape talks about ethics from a scientific point of view. And I think it's pretty smart. Chapter 3 is particularly good. And then Waking Up is about how, look, we understand that you're not religious and you don't believe in God and shit, but there is something intrinsic to humanity where we need the process of spirituality to come to terms with our existence and how to deal with the world, right? It's kind of a membrane where sociology and philosophy and shit like that just kind of cling to it, and then we experience it by being in the membrane. You know what I mean? And if you can't figure out a way to do that, if you can't, and it's not about deity, it's not about a god or any of that stupid bullshit. It's about organizing your life around a set of ideas. And one of those ideas should be that I have to have some kind of positive purpose in my life, whatever that happens to be. And you see what happens to people that don't have purpose.
Yeah.
They're fucked.
It's a miserable
You know what I mean?
existence.
Yeah.
So, and I think that there's a lot of these institutions of society that are meant to solve those problems, like, schooling and formal education should help you find your purpose, but instead it's become the exact opposite.
Right. I mean, if you listen to Elon Musk talk about how he would reimagine
Just part of the machine.
primary education.
Well, I think everyone's parents should own apartheid emerald mines. That's the first solution.
No, but
Oh, new accent.
Yeah.
he says that there shouldn't be grades, not like test scores. I mean, there shouldn't be like first, second, and third grade. You should learn what you're interested in learning at your own pace. And if you're fucking 10 years old and you're able to keep up with 15 to 18-year-olds, we should all probably know that and take advantage of that and provide a mechanism for you to also take advantage of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
like that.
Somebody having to stay in fucking 7th grade because that's the age they are, that's fucking, we don't do that anywhere else. You know what I mean? And in the institutions, we do that stuff, like in unions and shit like that, where, he's got seniority, like, but I'm better.
Yeah.
You don't see that in sports
Yeah.
because they want to win.
Yeah.
You don't see it
Yeah.
in war because they want to fucking win. Why the fuck would we do it in our education system? It doesn't make any sense. But everybody's a fucking pussy, right?
Yeah.
Like, what about the social impact? And that's something you should take into consideration. A fucking 7-year-old second grader being around fucking 13, 14-year-olds all the time, that may
Yeah.
have some impact. Maybe there's something about being around your classmates that is necessary for your personal development.
They're just trying to
But-
put
but I
everyone in
think
boxes to make
education-
everyone become taxpayers and stuck in the 9 to 5.
Pretty much,
Well,
yeah.
education and socialization should be divorced. Like you should have your social peers who are in your interests and your extracurriculars. You know, you
Yeah, I
can
mean,
do
imagine-
sports, you can do combat stuff.
I disagree. I think socialization should be a part of everything.
Well, yeah, it will be. But he's saying there should be an addendum, I guess, for lack of
Yeah.
a better phrase. And I agree with that, yeah.
Because if you're a fucking 12-year-old and you're hanging out with a bunch of 16 and 17-year-olds, your life experience is vastly different than theirs, and you should be around people. Like, dude, I'm a fucking retard, and I love stupid cartoons. And I was watching on Disney Plus, they have a bunch of the Pixar shorts, and I love those because they appeal to all the ages with the emotions of it. And then they had one that was Doug, the dog from the movie Up. And it's just a whole mini series of him interacting with the old guy. And I was like, oh, I love that character. This will be great. But the dialogue is so juvenile and repetitive and boring that even my super stoned dumbass was like, this is too childish for me. Like that's going to happen with kids where they're in the wrong social groups and they're subjected to things that don't make sense or don't work for them in their educational format. But if you're then going and playing football with all your buddies that are the same age, then you can talk about the shit that makes sense and like the commonalities and the zeitgeist of your age. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was better put.
Yeah. I just tried to say less words the first time.
Well, you need to say
me to interpret them.
you need to say more words, right? We've grown far too accustomed and comfortable with saying as few words as possible to get an idea across, but that's not really how ideas work, is it?
Yeah, brevity is the soul of wit, though.
Fuck that.
I mean,
Yeah, it's putting more pressure on the other person to come up with their own interpretation.
Shakespeare
so-
said that in a time when he was one of very few people that could read or write.
fair.
You know what I mean?
Fair. I think there's another Einstein quote, though, that's if you can't explain something simply, then you don't understand it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But
So-
he's talking about scientific principles, right? So, and you have to,
Yeah, not communication socially.
yeah, you have to understand all the schema required to explain something to someone. Like how many times have you told a joke, but it's like 4 layers deep? So, I mean, for a comedian, that's actually a good thing because you can just tell a joke at each one of those other layers and make it a whole fucking 10-minute set now instead of just one fucking joke. But for most people, it's like, God, now I've got to explain. It's like nested memes. It's like, this is a meme on a meme on a meme, and I've got to explain all this shit to
Yeah.
this bitch I'm dating to understand why I'm laughing right now, and I'm not doing it.
It's
not
just
gonna
a
happen.
moth standing in the corner of a room. They don't know that I was popular. But this is so funny.
But it's easy to explain that scenario now that we're in meme culture, but schema like that have existed for years. I mean, imagine somebody coming to, or imagine somebody going to sub-Saharan Africa during the Industrial Revolution in Europe and in the U.S., trying to explain certain fucking things like gang violence or something like that inside of, like, imagine somebody trying in South Africa in fucking 1901 trying to explain the gangs of New York
Yeah.
to somebody. I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's just so many different elements. Like, why? Why are they doing this? Who's causing it? Or who's allowing this? Maybe because they were authoritarian then. The Dutch were lighting people up back then. So
Yeah.
I don't know. You just have to understand so many different things for certain shit to make sense. So if I tell you a story about a chair, you have to know what a chair is before
Sure.
that story can make any sense to you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree with that, and so I mean, I noticed that we get oversimplified in arguments online, especially, like, someone will just make their point and then assume that you understand the secondary and tertiary stuff behind it, and then you get into a shouting match and you both agree and you don't even realize it.
People often also intentionally misrepresent the other person. So what you're saying is anything.
Yeah, they build these straw men.
Yeah, anything that comes after. So what you're saying is just shut the fuck up and kill yourself because that's stupid.
Yeah, there's too many arguments based on assumptions,
Yeah, there's
which I think is a result of not using enough words.
There's something
that
called
kind of thought process.
Rappaport's rules, not Michael Rappaport. Rappaport's rules is something Jordan Peterson talks about a lot. If you were in marriage counseling, for example, you and your wife were in marriage counseling and you guys were having a disagreement, a good therapist might if he saw that there was a miscommunication, require you to explain her point of view back to her satisfaction before you guys could continue the conversation. So instead of like you assuming what she means, you explain back to her exactly what she means. She goes, yes, that's what I mean. At least now you're playing with fucking real information.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
very
mean?
useful.
Yes, it is.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, but then he goes on to say, like, yeah, you don't want to do that, though. But
Who says that?
Jordan Peterson.
He does. Yeah, I mean, look, I disagree with him there. I think it's a really helpful thing to do, but that's because I think like he does, and he knows that other people don't think that way.
I think his point was that it was just uncomfortable to go that far.
It is uncomfortable.
I don't think he was saying
but
not to do it.
I mean, yeah, it's things that are worth doing are typically uncomfortable, like anal, for example.
Yeah.
At first, anyways.
Yeah.
After a while, it just
and then you loosen up.
slides right in there.
Not a fan of anal.
Which,
Not giving it either.
It's weird that you've received it, but good for you.
weird in
No, I
what
haven't.
way? Here's the problem with fucking the words normal and weird. They don't mean good and bad.
No.
You understand? Just because 5% of the population is gay doesn't mean that saying that's abnormal means I don't care.
Oh, well, I was saying it's abnormal because a straight male to have received something in your anus.
That's not even true that he's straight, but that's not the point. The point is, well, there's no fucking point. Been no point to any of this.
No, there never has been. It's the
Let's
Giggle
kill
Boys.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Dude, it's the Giggle Boys. We've never made a point once.
I would recommend.
I try.
No, I wouldn't do that. Making points is.
Oh, I know a good point. Next Saturday, we're doing a live Giggle Boys.
Oh, yeah, at Native Hostel at 8:30 p.m. on November 20th.
Yeah, here in Austin, so a week from today.
I know the folks that own that place. I'm going to tell them to shut that whole thing down. Because,
Great.
It's,
Hate speech.
Yeah.
We'll be live on here and in person. There's going to be a crowd. It's going to be fucking fun.
Who's producing it? Giorgio doing it for you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dope. Wait, when is it?
November 20th.
a week from today.
It's going to be interactive. We're going to like call people up and stuff, and it's
Yeah.
going to be a whole hang session. It's going to be. I'm really excited.
I'll give away one surprise. We have a sign language interpreter coming.
Are they?
Oh, yeah, I forgot
Do
about
they actually know sign language? Because
No,
yeah, and she's hot.
But who cares
I
about
don't
that?
care. My girlfriend's hotter than her. I guarantee you that.
But here's the thing.
Yeah, she is.
Here's the.
Your girlfriend's so hot.
Yeah, she is. I just want it to be fake. I love fake sign language. So
Like with the
I-
Obama thing.
God damn.
I love that.
That's one of the best things that's ever happened to me, dude.
Yeah.
Our favorite too. But
Yeah.
the reason I love it is because they've had them at concerts for a while now. And like the best thing is watching white sign language interpreters at rap concerts because they have no rhythm and they're trying to do hand
How do you
signs
say
to
the
rap.
N word in sign language?
That's what we're gonna find out. We're gonna have a black guy come up on stage so he can say it with no problem,
Just over
and then have
over
her
and
do
over.
the sign language.
Yeah, tell him just like at some point say it a few times and then be like, hey, I just want to stop for a second and can you just say the N word repeatedly and have her do the thing so everybody can learn?
So
Just so you know if somebody's doing it in the wild and you can call them out on it.
And is there a difference if there's a hard R?
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, do you like do your pinky different? But so that's why I wanted her there so that we can be like, what are the words you've always wanted to see in sign language?
Swastika.
Cum fart, swastika, cum fart. These are hilarious things that you're never going to get to see from a
Does
real
she
sign
do
language.
this professionally?
Eli was in charge, so probably not.
She just
I don't think
knows
so.
American
She just knows sign language.
God
Okay.
damn it. Okay, cool. Good. Well, it's going to be great.
Yeah,
I'm
that'll
excited
be,
for it.
That'll be fun. I mean, that would be an interesting thing to know if she'd been doing it professionally. What are the words you don't like to do? Maybe it just sucks to do it, or what are the ones that are super fun to do? I've seen them at I don't remember whose concert it was.
I don't think they have word preferences.
Well, she might. That's why we asked.
Do you have favorite English words to say?
Yes.
Cunt, yeah.
Fair.
I really enjoy saying cunt.
That's a good one.
I like saying ostensibly and vicariously, just like those long Lee words because they make me feel like a smart boy.
Long Lee words.
Yeah, typical Sam Harris over here.
Yeah, I'm a big old adverb fan. You know what I'm saying?
Anything with ly at the end.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Obesely.
Bit.ly.
Bitly.
Shorten those links.
Bit.ly/abortion shirt. You can get our legalize it abortion shirt.
Oh, yeah, capitalize the A and the S.
Wait, what happened?
So when Georgia and Alabama said no abortions, we were like, boo, we love abortions. So what do we do? So Eli is a pretty good artist, so he drew a joint with a fetus in the end of it being smoked. And then we put legalize it, so, like, 'cause you should be able to kill your fetuses in Georgia and Alabama. And then we donated all the proceeds to Planned Parenthood there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that we made those shirts.
Why would you
We're
give the money
heroes.
to Planned Parenthood?
Because
though?
we're heroes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
I don't know any other organizations that are down with a Bobo.
I guess there's Susan B. Komen, in a way, but
Is that the breast cancer lady?
Yeah, no,
but
fuck
she's
that.
a cunt.
Well,
they're
so
all-
is Margaret Sanger.
No, she's a titless cunt.
Margaret Sanger founded Planned Parenthood
Susan's-
to sterilize black people.
Susan G.
Yeah.
Komen can suck my dick. They don't do anything for cancer research. It's just a marketing company.
That's,
yeah, like
that's what-
0.01% goes to cancer research
That's,
or something
that's
like
what
that.
all cancer.
Yeah, charities are bullshit.
Yeah,
No,
charities.
dude, there's a
If you want to help a cancer patient, go help a specific cancer patient.
Yeah.
great
Just go
point. There's a charity.
hand stacks of money at every room.
There is a company though that does actual charity ratings. Effective Altruism, I think, is the name of the company. But they look at like what percentage goes to overhead, like how much like each dollar given affects the problem they're trying to solve, how much that problem actually is a deal. And I think like for the last like 2 or 3 years, the most effective dollar that you can donate is to this deworming Africa campaign. But I don't know.
Well, speaking of worms,
Oh,
we're gonna get the worm report here soon. That would have been a good segue.
Oh God
Would've
damn
been
it!
great.
It's too bad you're a fucking stoner piece of shit. Otherwise, you could have saved that story 5 minutes.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
hey, you know what?
Well,
We all live in the world we live in, right?
I'm a
2
hedonist.
minutes.
No, it's worms will still be relevant by the time he gets here. I'm sure.
Are we set up over there for Casey?
Worms will always be relevant.
Hey, there's a mic on over there? Isn't there? Pick a mic up and talk.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, and you can switch the
And
camera.
we have
to
camera
you,
7
Right?
over there. Yeah.
Yep, right here.
Let's see it.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Beautimous.
Hey.
There we go. We've talked about a lot today.
We have. Are there any things that you would like to bring up that you don't normally get to address?
I talk on camera for like 12 hours a week, so no.
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
Probably
would
want to
be-
talk about less.
No.
Well, just breaking news, Dan. Oklahoma lost to Baylor.
I knew it. Fucking knew
Was
it.
it like a rape off?
Yeah.
Who can rape
24
more?
to 17.
Football, but
Oh man,
It'd
did you
be
know
a
I
thing.
played college football?
it'd be more entertaining if they raped each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike played college football. Mike is more of an athlete than me.
That's still the case. Right?
Dude, we've been
No.
trying to set it up.
No, not at all. What?
Yeah, he works out every day, but we've been trying to set up. I still think I could beat him in a foot race.
Yeah, we should do that.
I'm pretty sure on like an A to B foot race.
Our
in a
other
straight line.
producer, Rob, said he's like, yeah, I still think I could run like a fucking, I don't know, a sub 540. No, you can't.
I can't do
I
that.
believe he said 4.8 or something like that. I was like, there's no way.
So high school, I ran a 4.96. That was, my senior year, I was 6'1", 260, benching 405, squatting 550. But I was too short to go D1.
Right.
I went to William and Mary. They all made fun of me. I benched more than their starting center, but I was 4 inches shorter.
Right.
So they're like, suck our dick. So I went D3. But I'm not anywhere near any of those stats anymore. I could probably put up 225 once now.
I
but-
couldn't even put numbers to my strength back then.
I think working out is fucking pointless, to be honest.
Oh, it's such a fun release. It's
I
the
don't-
only
I-
time that
it's-
metal makes sense.
Dude, fighting people is such a good release. And it's good to know how to fight people. I know you have guns, but like,
Yeah, I mean, no, I've done quite a bit of fighting in my life as well. We don't just fucking run around and shoot each other. But it's, which would be fucking hilarious. if that were the case.
Dude, I would love like a military sitcom.
Yeah, dude. It's like that. Whoever that is in
Matt?
in the office in Archer that's always getting shot.
Yeah, Barry.
Brett.
Oh, that is. That's Brett. Yeah.
Barry's the Russian agent.
Yeah,
after
that's
a
right.
while.
Yeah.
But
fucking
yeah,
love that show. New season is so good.
Damn it, Archer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. Well, he's dead. Isn't Brett dead now? Didn't he die in like season 8 or something?
I think so.
Oh, they'll bring him back as a cyborg. Who cares?
Yeah, it's the show doesn't have to make sense. Krieger is still the greatest character of any show.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, look, you're doing a comedy, including your main character, who is a very Jewish man, right? And one of the main characters on the show is a literal clone of Hitler.
Yeah.
Who's the Jew?
What?
Who's the very Jewish man?
Archer.
Sterling.
I mean, no. I don't. The guy who plays him.
Oh, H. John
John
Benjamin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
didn't
you
know
can
that.
tell by the Benjamin because it's one of the tribes of Israel.
Dude, have you ever watched anything else he does?
I grew up watching home movies. So
Okay, yeah, perfect.
for sure,
Coach
yeah.
McGurk.
Yeah.
Dude,
He's always been. It's his. It's not even the voice is cool, but the delivery
incredible.
It's so good.
He plays the can of soup in the Wet Hot American Summer stuff, but his voice and his face match up so little with who Archer is, and yet it's so fucking perfect.
But his attitude is very Archer. Though,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
They're talking about making a live action one, and they want to do an H. John Hamm Benjamin. So they have John Hamm be the person.
Now, are they
The face of it?
Are they
Yeah.
fucking?
Oh, I
or-
love that.
Are they fucking?
No, it's just him, but he's dubbed with H. John Benjamin's voice.
I mean, really, it would be Ryan Reynolds with H. John Benjamin's voice, right? He's anybody that's like super in shape, good looking, but also self-effacing and a fucking complete knucklehead is Ryan Reynolds to me. Like Deadpool was written before Ryan Reynolds was a thing, but I believe that Stanley knew that Ryan Reynolds was going to become a thing, right? I think Deadpool debuted in like the mid or early 80s or something like that, 83 or something. And then
For the comic?
Yeah, and then for what? Oh, yeah, for the comic book, yeah. And then what was Ryan Reynolds' first big thing? Was it Waiting? Or was it
That's what I found
He was
out
in the
about him.
sitcom Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
Nobody cares about that.
The Green Lantern.
Waiting.
The Green Lantern that everybody shit on.
No, Green Lantern
That
was
was
after
years
Waiting.
later.
Yeah, but Waiting was
Waiting
his-
was like 2000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Waiting was one of the greatest.
Well, and
movies of all
Waiting
time.
had Justin Long, Dane Cook, fucking a bunch of...
Skylar Stone was in it.
Yeah. Dude, that was a great movie.
What's the woman's name?
Andy Milonakis.
Yeah, Anna Milonakis. Chris Pratt's ex-wife, Anna Faris, wasn't she?
Oh,
in that?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did she divorce him because he's a crazy religious nut?
He's not a crazy religious nut, is he?
Chris Pratt? Yeah, he loves Jesus, and he goes to the anti-homo church.
All
And he gets
chur-
shit for it all the time.
churches are anti-homo. Let's be real. about
Oh,
that.
they have gay church.
I mean, if you believe in the Bible, then you don't like gay people.
Yeah,
because
true.
it says to kill them in the Bible.
Yeah, but religious moderation is just getting further and further away from your textbook.
Yeah.
So, like...
Yeah, you never see any new religious texts come out and pull back on science a little bit, do you?
Yeah, right.
Now, we thought gravity was a thing, but it turns out there's floating ghosts everywhere. Here's a book that says it. Like, shut the fuck up, loser. David Kushner.
Interdimensional entities aren't affected by gravity.
Dude, Bible verses out of context is so funny. I grew up going to Catholic church, and we always had Bible study and all that. And I was, involved around the church for quite a while. And like, there's so many Bible verses that if you take them out of context are objectively hilarious. Second Kings, there's one about a bald dude, and he's like walking down the street, and these kids are like, "Hey, you're bald."
His name's Elisha.
Yeah, and they call him Baldhead, and then he calls out two bears.
Two female bears.
Two female bears, and they
Oh,
eat
yeah.
like 43 children
Yeah.
or something like that.
Kid should have been standing there.
It's fucking awesome.
They should have called a bunch of worms.
Van Wilder was before.
Oh, that's
Waiting.
right. Dude,
So-
Van Wilder was written on the context of who Bert Kreischer was in real life. They wrote a Rolling Stone
way.
article about Bert Kreischer being the #1 party boy in America
That makes
while
so
he
much
was at
sense.
Florida State. And then Rolling Stone wrote that article and then basically made Van Wilder about the ethos of Bert Kreischer, which is pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah, he's a fascinating dude. I can't wait to see. He's got that movie that he made about his Russian story, The Machine. But Mark Hamill is in it.
Who's Mark?
That
Luke Skywalker. Who does Mark Hamill play?
I think he plays either one of the Russian
Mm.
mobsters or maybe his dad. I don't know. But
His own father.
yeah, it's possible.
Nice.
The original Luke Skywalker?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's only been one.
Yeah.
Well, who would?
I don't know. I haven't seen Luke Skywalker since I was like 5.
The Last Jedi just came out like 2 years ago.
He has like a 2-second cameo.
No, he's a big part of the last two. The first one, there's
Maybe I
a
didn't see
2-second
him.
cameo. Then the next two, he's in.
Yeah.
Have you seen Worm Wars?
I've seen Dune.
I'm trying to segue over here.
Dune, which Star Wars was stolen from.
That is Worm Wars actually.
Yeah, it is. The Sandworm.
And
Now,
you've seen the new one?
it's fucking amazing.
All right, I'll go watch it.
It's amazing.
Okay.
You should do, if you're gonna watch it, try to watch it in a theater though.
Yeah, there's still it's
Like,
an
I've
Alamo
got-
Draft House.
Yeah, I've got like a giant theater at my house.
Yeah,
Like
good.
a 120-inch screen with a 4K ultra short throw projector and Bose speakers all over the place.
Yeah, we'll come over later.
You can if you want. If you want to come watch that movie sometime, let me know and you can watch it there because I'll watch it again. It's fucking dope as shit.
That does sound
I
Yeah, we're
love
down.
Yeah,
It's
it's
fucking
fucking
K-hole.
it's so good. God damn. Well, I'm not gonna get. No, I want to enjoy the movie,
yeah.
motherfucker. Anyways, worms.
Yeah, dude.
Are a big part of this fucking movie. They're all over the ground, and you would think human beings. I know how human beings think. If there were giant worms underground, and the reason you couldn't get to the main thing you need for the entire universe, those worms would be annihilated.
For sure. We would kill the worms so fast.
We killed the American buffalo just because we were hungry.
Yeah.
Like, it's gone now, forever. So
Dude, we fuck shit up when it gets
Well, I hear
Yeah.
worms are impervious to steel.
I don't know. We brought in a worm expert.
We should, let's check with our specialist.
Yeah.
Let's go over to Casey Rocket with the worm report.
Bum, bum, bum.
Sup, fuckers? It's me. I just woke up, but goddamn, the worm must go on. There's nobody there. Happy worm, man. Make it worm, or else forget about it. Happy to be here, man. Wiggle big, wiggle small. Happy to worm with you boys this fine September evening. What day is it? Happy worm, baby. First on the agenda, there's a pressing question that's been going around recently in regards to worm economics. Worm-to-worm combat. What to do if a worm comes up to your wife in the grocery store and he's being a real piece of shit? Well, the answer's pretty simple. But you're not gonna like it. You're gonna have to kiss him. Okay? Right on his sweet little worm lippies. Give him a smooch. Yeah, it's embarrassing, but you want your wife to be happy, don't you, dude? Anyways, worms in remembrance. Remembering one of the most famous worms of the 90s, Chester Worm Benningfield. The worm, you might remember him from SportsCenter. The worm who got picked from the audience at Game 7 of the World Series because they ran out of pitchers, and they were like, well, let's give him a shot. Fuck it. And they gave him a shot, but he only threw the ball like a foot. I mean, it's a goddamn worm. I don't know what they were thinking, man. And everybody started booing, and I think he started crying or something. It was so embarrassing, dude. But, hey, you should have played baseball better. And lastly, here's something I've been thinking of. Mr. Worm, tear down that wall. Worms in the Soviet Union in the 1980s. We all know the socioeconomic implications of worm. And when it get cold, worm get scared. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Thanks for being here, man. So happy to see you. That's been the Worm Report with Casey Rocket.
Yeah! Thank you, Casey Rocket. He's really starting to grow on people.
Yeah. What do you mean?
A lot of people weren't a fan at first.
Oh, well, that's...
Or a few people in the comments. And then we've had people like say, I wasn't a fan at first, and now I can't wait for the next Worm Report.
Yeah, that's how it goes. The first one's always free.
Yeah.
That's Worm 101.
Crack rules.
So I'm being told by people in the comments, speaking of those, that Spice is the worm's shit. In which case, we would have learned to sew the worm's mouth shut and harvest its shit.
Hang on,
You know
what?
I mean?
Spice from Dune?
In Dune. So the drug, well, it's kind of a drug, but also a fuel source.
Okay.
Which is pretty dope. I mean, if you think about it, gas is also kind of a drug.
Yeah, you can huff it.
Yeah, I've
Right, Casey?
Oh, yeah.
We all thought Casey was a mechanic when we first met him. It turns out he's just always huffing gas. Which, I mean, why not? Look, who am I to tell somebody not to huff gas?
No, he's actually a car.
Yeah.
Well,
The human lawnmower.
that would be cool to be the human lawnmower, except for that's
Vegan.
Mexican?
I'm white, so
Oh. So Spice is
it's their shit. Yeah,
the shit
Don't
of the
spoil
worms.
it.
And the
that's
worms.
not spoiling it. This was written in the fucking 1960s, bro.
I didn't read it.
Well, yeah, it's
Cal Penn dies in house.
I wasn't even alive in the 60s.
that would be. You should do like a fucking oldmoviespoilers.com.
Yeah.
That would be a real fucking early 2000s to do. Just some obscure. I'm going to make $1 million in my obscure website. Like,
Yeah.
you're not, but it's going to be really funny 20 years from now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's worm shit.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is, but I mean, have you
We
seen
would have
that?
definitely figured out how to
Yeah.
harvest that.
Remember
though.
that episode of Futurama?
Where Nibbler shit is the...
Well, that's one, yeah, but then there's Slurm, right? Which
Oh,
is
yeah.
the fucking giant worm that's shitting
Slurm's
out. Yeah.
McKenzie.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we would find a way to put a saddle on that motherfucker. There isn't some creature on Earth right now that we know about that we haven't completely dominated.
Yeah, like horseshoe crabs are super useful for their blood. We use it in a bunch of medical procedures. So we just harvest their blood.
Yeah, but that's not even a threatening animal.
Oh, they're so scary looking.
Apex predators. There are like 300 up until 2 years ago before they fucked him over. Free Joe Exotic, by the way.
Oh,
get him out of there.
Yeah.
Before we fucked over Joe Exotic, this meth head gay hillbilly with no education and barely able to stand upright was able to dominate 50,
straight men.
50 that too. Straight men, yeah. And dangerous looking ones at least. Yeah. But 50 plus goddamn apex predators just because he felt like it. So you're telling me there's some giant worm in space somewhere that can't be dominated? Fuck that. I will bang that worm in front of its children to establish dominance.
Send the state of Oklahoma to
Or
Dune.
you just turn what you have to really do is, I mean, that would work.
I would love that because I hate Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So if we could get rid of Oklahoma by sending it to Dune.
I don't even
Space
understand
hobos.
how Oklahoma defeated Native Americans.
Well, they didn't.
Smallpox blankets.
It was no, that's not real.
We didn't do that?
You can't do that.
Damn it.
Smallpox is too large to fucking travel that way.
Oh.
Fucking retards.
So what kind of blankets do we use?
We just gave
Needles?
Them, no, we just killed them with guns.
Oh.
And fire and shit. Yeah.
Syphilis?
Maybe.
No biological warfare?
No, that's
Damn.
not real. No.
Texas education sucks.
Oh no, that's.
I learned that in school.
Yeah.
I did too,
that we
in
killed them with
California.
blankets.
What kids are learning now in school is that the real birth of the country was 1619.
Uh-huh.
Because that's when slaves first came here.
Oh.
So that's what critical race theory is. They want to teach. They want to teach American children that the beginning of the country wasn't the Constitution that says that all men are created equal, even though they didn't abide by that.
But that's when it became a country. Wouldn't you say we became a country when
Here's
we
the thing.
fought to become a country?
If you and I are trying to battle somehow, let's call it a football game. It's the difference between a battle and a war, I guess. So
okay.
It's
a
about
season and a game.
It's about timeline. So if you and I were in a conversation and we're debating something, and we get to the point in the argument where I'm right, right? Because it does go back and forth, and I'm just like, see, I'm right, I'm done, and I quit. That's cool and all, but I really haven't won anything. That's like saying that you won even because you were leading at halftime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's not the case. So this theory wants to change the beginning of our perceived history as then, because if you do it that way, then it appears as though everything has always been built on that. That's like saying God created the universe. You haven't actually said anything, but you've attributed all this responsibility to God now. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
So by saying that America started when the first slaves got here, then the country becomes founded on slavery?
Correct.
And that's beneficial for white guilt, or
It's beneficial for
the argument that, and what is the argument being made there?
The argument is that everything that came from that is fruit of the poison tree, right?
Okay.
And that entire system now has to be dismantled in favor of some other system. And it's odd that they always come up with a system like Marxism, right? Which is the only other one that exists, really.
Well, so I think the thing that's so interesting that gets conflated by stupid people is Marxism and free shit. Because like the real actual idea behind it is that the further we are separated from the means of production, like the less power that we have.
Correct.
So in a communist society, everybody would be working all the time,
Yeah.
and then you would not have to pay for anything.
Well, that's what happens, right? So
It's not free shit,
In a
right?
in a Marxist / socialist society, it always goes to communism. It has to, right?
Yeah.
And in a capitalist society, it always goes to corporatism, right? Typically speaking, or at the very least, it goes to the level of an oligarchy.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, in Russia and China, both have happened, right? They're not communist societies; they're hybrid societies, right?
Well, you can have capitalism with socialist aspects.
Sure, it's modified capitalism. Yeah, that's what we have here in America, typically. But we've gotten to the point in America where corporatism is more or less taken over. Like we're in a death spiral with corporatism. If you haven't seen the TV series Continuum, you should go watch that.
Will this give me anxiety?
Yeah.
All right, I'm not gonna watch that then. Can I just watch Idiocracy and be like, it's a funny version?
It's the there's a happy ending in Idiocracy. There's not going to be a happy ending here. Well, I guess it depends on who you are.
You said you were stoked for war.
I personally am, yeah. So, I mean, for me, it works out either way. I either get to enjoy this great country that we live in the way that I'm enjoying it now, or I'm going to be in a gunfight. Either way, I'm happy. Right?
Yeah, that's what stoicism really is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to enjoy it no matter what happens.
Well,
You got all the angles covered.
Stoicism is anti-catastrophizing. So if
Like nothing can go wrong. It's unprepared.
not necessarily, but in a way, yes. Like that's
The anti-fragile theory.
Yeah, that's the outcome of what I'm talking about. But the actual practice is that it's what I've told people for fucking 30 years about doing drugs, especially psychotropic drugs. This isn't real, and this won't last forever. And that's what pain is.
Interesting.
The Stoic would say that if you're still alive and you have that pain, then clearly the pain isn't enough to kill you, so it's not as bad as it could be.
Yeah. Why
what I
fear
mean?
death? When
Yeah.
I'm here, it is
Yeah.
not. When it is here, I am
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah, I got really into all that, but it just seems incompatible.
it's a discipline.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
very undisciplined,
Yeah.
except things that give me like immediate dopamine rushes.
Yeah, that's
Like
a problem.
I'm good at my relationship and comedy because
You
like
should-
both of those are fulfilling immediately.
yeah, in a
You
way.
gotta
right?
focus more on the long term than the short term gain. That's how I've realized.
I
I've
imagine
been
I'm
able
not going to
discipline
live
myself.
long term.
You can do.
You could if you started fucking exercising,
You could do a little bit of both.
which I would like you to live long.
I microdose exercise. I went up the stairs.
You don't want to mortgage the future or the present for the future either. You know what I mean? Like, what if you're a squirrel that constantly hoards nuts and never eats one, you're going to starve to death, my man. You know what I mean? So that's not exactly a fucking good ethos either.
Well, so the way I see it is, I don't want to
middle
drink
way.
alcohol because even though I'd have a fun night tonight, tomorrow I'll be hungover and I won't be able to do shit. So I'm not going to drink.
Right. I guess that's you're giving the alcohol a lot of power over you, though, right?
It kind of takes the power. I can't really decide to not be hungover.
No, you can't, but you can decide to deal with being hungover. So if you work out today, you're going to be sore tomorrow. That's delayed onset muscle soreness. So 2 days later, I guess, technically speaking.
That doesn't slow me down though.
It doesn't matter if it slows you down. It's
So
still,
like a hangover doesn't slow some people down.
it's still
That's impossible.
It's a level of uncomfortability that you're prepared to deal with because of what you're doing today. So, for example, I'm going to do these 3 activities a day, and I know I'm going to be tired and feel shitty. I mean, staying up late is the same thing. You're just talking about a matter of degree, right?
yeah,
So
no, I
you're,
get
but
that.
you're making a personal
Fine,
decision.
I'll drink.
You're making a personal decision that you don't want to experience that discomfort tomorrow, and that's fine. That's a reasonable thing to do. But if you don't let it stop you from doing something that might be fun just because that kind of sucks, it's going to kind of suck, and then I'll get over it.
Well, because like training and performing well on stage is more important to me than having a night out. Because I don't gain anything from having a night out.
You don't.
You don't?
There's nothing about. I mean, maybe there's not. Hemingway would disagree with you, but Hemingway is not you. You're 2 different people. Like he died with a bottle of fucking Cuban rum in his hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A Hemingway daiquiri is a fantastic
It's
drink.
very nice.
I was planning on going out like that.
Yeah, I mean, rum and cigars together are nice. And there's something about being able to reflect later on back on that positive experience that might be, you're creating, now you're creating schema for which to go back to when you're in a shitty situation.
Well, and it's also creating fodder for what we do on stage.
And-
if I don't go out
yeah.
and have a good night, then I'm just going to continue talking about my past experiences,
Yeah.
and then my entire routine of comedy becomes retroactive.
You have to do new stuff for sure, but it also provides you, in the same way that you're building muscle. This is why I don't completely agree with the Stoics. In the same way that you're building muscle when you're working out that can make you stronger in the future, having great experiences in your life are something like this is one of the things we teach in counter in interrogation classes, right? Or it's a fundamental aspect of transcendental meditation as well, where I'm trying to put myself somewhere else. I can only do that if I can imagine somewhere else, and the best way to imagine somewhere else is to have been there or been
Yeah.
to some kind of version of it, right? That's why we're so attracted to films and books and shit. It's theater of the
Interesting.
mind. So if you're able to be somewhere, even to a lesser degree, it's almost like an inoculation. I'm taking it.
So when you're getting tortured, you just dissociate and imagine
Yeah.
you're somewhere else, and the best way to do that is to like have been in Fiji.
and it's
Do you think your imagination is real?
it's as real as anything else. It depends on what you mean by real.
Is it as real as my DMT demon experience?
Well, the only thing that makes all of this real is that I can use my 5 senses to observe it.
Well, that sounds like you're describing tangible instead of real.
No. Reality is only fucking real through the observer's fucking senses. That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? So, but I mean,
Light has matter.
So when you say, here's the problem with postmodernism. It sees we observed that. We started talking about like Heisenberg's uncertainty principle and things like that, and they tried to.
What is that again?
We don't know where the electrons are because they move too fast.
Right.
Right.
So you can't know the mass and location of something at the same time. Like it's weird, but if you break it down into postmodernism and what Foucault took from that, it's that there can't be any universal truth, and that's not true. So it's more you need to go back to.
Well, isn't that what Kant tried to cover with the critique of pure reason? It's like
Kant's a fucking idiot. Yeah.
Oh, I disagree. I think that he was trying to counteract what postmodernism is. He was saying that like you can use like a reasonable set of judgments and come to an assertion that's technically true without it being actually true based on the observable universe. Foucault's saying that there can be no universal truths.
Right, they're both
is observably retarded.
I think truth is just a mass population agreement. I don't think there's a ultimate truth.
No, math is real for sure, 100%.
Because we all agree it is.
No, math is real whether or not you agree it's real or not. So here's the problem
no,
with
it's just hitting weird.
here's the problem with both of those guys. Here's where they maybe stopped short and maybe they had some axe to grind. I think you're right. Lemke says it's speed and location. You're right about Heisenberg. You have to go back to Schrödinger and talk about collapsing wave functions. I think I think that might be a better thought experiment from which to take a sociology lesson from, because all these things have to happen for something to be true, and I also have to have a sense to be able to observe that truth, right, for it to be real.
Agreed.
Well, what are your thoughts on the double slit experiment?
Wait, I mean, we'll get to that. That means that something can be real for me right now in my scenario and not be real for somebody else. We took that to mean
Like if one of you is colorblind and you don't agree on the color.
yes.
Would you say
exactly.
that's a good example?
Yes. So that means there are some physical properties that might be true for. I might find it to be more warm here than you do. So you would say it's hot, and I'm like, no, it actually feels nice. That's real, right? Sure.
Sure.
But that doesn't change the fucking temperature. The temperature is still 90 degrees or 60 degrees.
Yeah.
Right? That is an objective measure. You can't conflate the two. It doesn't work that way. So your lived experience is useful for you, but that is by definition anecdotal. We don't do that here. You know what I mean? It doesn't have any place in a conversation about how things should be, in my opinion. There's these two fields of thought, how it is and how it should be. And people conflate that far too often. Like, well, it should be like this. Well, it's not. Pretending that it can be doesn't do you any favors.
I think that's definitely where my issues come in, and like my apathy comes from not being able to reconcile those two.
Yes.
Well, I disagree.
And this is how it is.
You're not going to be able to reconcile those two. Why should you want to? That's the problem. Like, we're trying to ice skate uphill trying to reconcile two things that are irreconcilable. Why would you even bother with that?
I think that trying to change something, if I wanted to make 6 become 9 and make 60 degrees be 90 degrees, and I followed a life goal of trying to change that, and I never succeeded, I would still have a fulfilling life of trying.
You can change the temperature from 60 to 90 by turning the fucking heat on.
No,
right?
I mean,
but you can't change 60 to 90. You
but I could
understand?
try.
No,
and I could
you
feel
can't.
fulfilled.
No, that's stupid.
But how would
Yes,
what
I would be an
stupid.
idiot for
Yeah.
doing that, but I would be a fulfilled idiot.
You can make the temperature go up. You cannot change what 60 is. You understand that, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But I'm saying, devil's
you can
advocate,
try to change what 60 is?
let's pretend that I'm completely insane.
No, you are.
Again, you're not. We base all this in the same way that jurists, legal scholars would base. One of the fundamentals of law is a reasonable person, right? So, from the perspective of a reasonable person, would you consider that to be theft or murder, whatever the case is? Right?
Sure.
That's normal.
So back to the double slit experiment.
Yep. What about it specifically?
So that it essentially concludes that the universe is conscious that is being watched.
That's a pretty big leap.
Well, there's more evidence to support that than there is for gravity.
No.
Yeah.
Say more things. Yeah, because he just did that. Now
Gravity.
you tell me universe.
And the only real evidence for gravity we'll ever need is the picture that was taken by Einstein's research assistant in 1919. Like, we literally saw light bending around the sun. So it could only be that we're in this cosmic soup of space-time.
I'm not saying there's not
I
enough.
thought you meant the picture of Albert Einstein with his tongue out. I was like, that's all I need for gravity. That guy's smart.
Well, so the double slit experiment, it acted as a wave.
Yep.
And then when they looked closer, it acted as a particle. And then they moved it away again and it acted as a wave again.
Right. So you can't...
Which means it's aware it's being observed. How else do you interpret that?
No, it means
What?
that you observing it has an effect on it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's aware of anything.
How could your observation have an effect on matter?
Well,
What do you
this
mean?
is where like the
You're-
Dunning-Kruger of this happens
Yeah.
because you think that you have an understanding of particle physics, but you don't.
Yeah.
Like someone with science background could explain to you how observation, but he was just explaining that with the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Like all of quantum physics is based around observation changes the outcome of it. So like, I mean, there's even like a Futurama joke about the
Yeah, but I'm
quantum
saying
race.
how does that happen?
Well, it may
Not
be. It may not.
with brain.
It may not be happening, right? So there may be fundamental aspects of particles and waves that, in our ability to sense them in our five senses, become different at different distances, right? That's a real thing. So if you look at a dot far enough away, or if you look at anything far enough away, it's going to look like light to us.
So you're saying
Right.
it's like an illusion?
I think it would be reductive of me to say that it's an illusion. I think it's just a matter of different, I guess in the way that we say optical illusion, yes. Maybe it is an optical illusion in that way.
So if reality is an optical illusion, then how is anything real?
Again, it depends on where you are and what you mean by real. So
Because you said real is if you can touch it and feel it and experience it. You can't touch an electron.
that's correct, but I can see the sun right now, and it looks orangish to me. But if it was, I don't know, a million light years away, it would be a white dot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So perspective.
Both of those things are true. And it doesn't make truth unattainable. It means truth depending on what. And it's a nuanced conversation. So that's why long forms discussion about things like that are important. It's why just believing what somebody like Foucault says is a really dumb thing to do without putting it in practice. This is the main argument that people have about string theory, that it's untestable, right? If your premise is unfalsifiable, you can't perform the Socratic method now. You can't perform the scientific method.
Isn't the burden of proof supposed to be on what you are declaring, though?
Yeah,
So
I mean,
then
look,
wouldn't
there's
it
a lot-
just be like a silly
Yeah.
theory to begin with?
No, because the math works,
Okay.
right? That's the argument that, like Steven Weinberg here in UT Austin, actually, who figured out the standard model of physics, like what quarks are.
Yeah. That's pretty cool that the Quark guy's here.
Yeah, well, I think he's still alive.
Also,
was here, whatever.
if particles can act as a wave, then couldn't that mean everything is made of light and we're holograms?
Now, that in string theory is possible, right? There wouldn't be any, at the quantum level, there wouldn't be any fundamental difference between one atom and another. It would just be which particles are switched on. But we can't think like that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pick your brain.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
The problem is that we can't think that way. Like, we can't conceptualize these things. We can't think about what the fourth spatial dimension might look like.
Just do more DMT, man.
Yeah, that's the plan. I'm gonna go do it now. Actually, I'm gonna go piss now.
Hell yeah.
So,
All right.
I mean, I think
Wrap
that's
it up.
enough for today. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining us, Dan.
Yeah,
Thank you,
has
Dan.
been
This
great.
was not funny at all, but it was very interesting. And
Yeah.
I had a very good time.
there were funny parts.
Yeah, there were a couple funny parts.
The worm guy's funny.
Worm Guy's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be there live with us next week at Native Hostel, 11:20, 8 p.m.
We have the tickets on GiggleBoys podcast at GiggleBoys podcast. God damn it, at GiggleBoys podcast on Instagram.
Patreon.com/GiggleBoys. Great way to support us. Check out the bonus episodes.
And follow Brody Lowballer on Spotify and Apple Music and everything.
It pains me to say this, but it's actually very good. He's good at rap. and you should check it out.
I can tell it pains him to say that.
Yeah, but I at first,
shouldn't.
At first, his voice was like, "Come on, Eli, why are you rapping?" And then I listened to it. I was like, "I enjoy Brody Lowballer." I have "Ain't Easy" saved in my liked songs.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm dropping a new song every week forever.
All right, thank you for tuning in.
See you next time.
Y'all be good.